Meeting to order. Calling the meeting to order. Arts, Recreation, and Cultural Commission of Los Altos. Shall we establish a quorum? But before we do that, shall we introduce? Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. We've got, members of the public, we've got a new commissioner on our commission. Very excited about that. His name is David Young. If you might, you want to say anything?
Well, I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward to contributing and listening to what everybody has to say. And, you know, I've lived in Los Altos for 28 years. I live right down Edith Avenue, so I walk to the meeting. You know, so very local and very involved and looking forward to it.
Have you been a commissioner before?
I'm sorry.
Have you been a commissioner before?
No.
Great, okay.
Welcome.
I have no bias.
East
Slate.
Edith or West Edith?
Question.
Oh,
Good
got it.
question.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
West
You
Edith.
get there, Mayor.
It's good that you walked. Our Greentown teams would love you. Okay, great. So now if we may establish a quorum?
We can.
Commissioner Moore,
Here.
Chair Corrigan,
Here.
Commissioner Valdez, nope, Chair Valdez,
Here.
Commissioner Morris,
Here.
Commissioner Couture,
Present.
and Commissioner Young. And we just have Commissioner Ye absent at this time.
Well, that's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6.
Oh, myself.
We have 6. Yeah.
Great. All right, David, since you're here first, I'm gonna ask you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, that's the years.
Remember it?
I think so. Yeah, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good practice. Now, if there are any, public comments not on the agenda? You can see any written, are there any?
We do not have any requests.
Is our liaison online?
Not at this time.
Okay. If she does come online, would you let me know? Appreciate it. Okay, so first item up is, the minutes. Oh, did you?
I was just gonna say, members of the public here, I just wanna make sure that they understand, if they don't, if we're not gonna speak on a topic on the agenda, then they should talk now, bring public comment.
Yeah, they are on the agenda.
Okay, great, just wanted to make sure, thanks.
Thanks for checking, because somebody could have come in
Okay.
before I, after I saw them, so thank you for that. That's a good point. All right, so, the minutes. As, submitted, did anybody have any questions or concerns or corrections or edits or additions? I think they were fine. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes of last month, I don't have my, September 17th, 2024. I'll second.
We can do a roll call vote. Commissioner Young? Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Chair Valdez?
Yes.
Commissioner Couture?
Yes.
Vice Chair Corrigan?
Yes.
And Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Okay, those pass unanimously.
I'm also going to make a statement right now. In my rush to leave the house, I forgot to put my hearing aids in. So I'm going to ask everybody to talk loudly. Because I know that you're talking in your regular voices, but now I'm realizing, why can't I hear that? And so that's why I just went, oh my goodness. So members of the public, it may get loud in here, but it's at my request as I forgot my hearing aids. Thank you. All right. Item number 2 is the artist return interview. Mr. Adrian Littman, is he on?
He's outside.
Okay. Did everybody have the opportunity to go through the packet?
Yes, it was awesome.
This is gonna be our.
How did this?
You want some background here?
Yeah.
Okay, let me,
Go ahead.
Oh, well. So, we have before us the opportunity to, a project, an artist proposal. We selected from a series of applicants an artist, to work on the beautification of our council chambers. So that would include the step risers and then whatever else, we want. And so we've created kind of a modular incremental, because depending on cost and whatever the count, we will come up with a recommendation of what we prefer. We give some options around that. We can choose to present all the options or not all the options, and we can also choose to rank them. Here's our preferred, but here's what you could do if you want to spend less money. Here's what you could do if you want to spend more money. Then at the end of the day, the council will decide. What we're going to do today is, we've already seen some rough drafts, but today we're supposed to actually see the art, at least renderings of the actual art that will go on, what the medium is, what the scale, what the layout, and then these modular increments. Let me turn this off.
Here, they actually were in our packet.
And they were in the packet for you to see, yes. So hopefully everybody's had time to, this is now our opportunity to ask clarifying questions, state opinions, and hopefully at the end of this, be able to come to a decision.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do you happen to have the material that you're gonna use with you?
Samples of the fabrication materials. I didn't bring them today. They saw and they know what it is.
Yeah, okay,
Oh, you did? Oh, okay, sorry.
just for your reference though, what it kind of looks like is wherever you see the brown in these pictures,
Yeah.
it's like it is a rusted metal, but it's a metal that's treated to only rust to a certain point. It's not like it'll deteriorate
Keep it to a certain point and then.
and then stop, right?
And they're all those little spaces are cut out.
That's cutouts, correct.
Laser.
Laser cutouts. And then wherever you see the more colorized items, those are ceramic tile.
Oh, okay.
And okay, so, porcelain.
Yeah,
Porcelain.
ceramic is not
That's
without.
ceramic, porcelain.
Very durable.
Very durable.
Well, I'll start off.
Okay.
I thought your presentation was absolutely exactly what we were looking for, and I really appreciate it. My recommendation, if we can get that far, is to do A, B, C, and D. But if the council doesn't want part of it, then I say we do A, B, and D.
Well, can we go over each one?
Sure.
Yeah, so number one, design is the initial thing that you
I forgot, you weren't here when I said this. I forgot my hearing aids. If you could really speak much more loudly.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so this is the, respond to the initial design when you just wanted the.
That's
some-
design one,
Yeah, design one,
agenda item A.
just addressing the stairs, risers, okay? So, and this is all curtain strips with nature-inspired elements and all that stuff. I'm not so sure if it's too early to talk some technicalities, but maybe I should address it just to be aware of it in case we go to do this. On the sides of the stairs, there's concrete blocks, right, that needs to be covered. Each one has some sort of a vent, but I think it's a
Light.
fixture. I'm not so sure it's functional. I didn't see it at night being lit up. Do they light it up whenever it is needed, or they're not functional? Do they want to keep it and I cover it with art, or I need to leave room for that? Kind of ugly, but
There's also a plaque, or was that the vent that you're talking about?
on the side,
In the interior.
yeah, there's rectangle, they look like vents, but I think they're light fixtures.
Yeah. They don't work. I feel like we have to leave them
It's
exposed.
a code?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
code.
for safety.
So we have to just.
Cut around it.
Because I was thinking.
If they don't, we'll find out about it, but that's a maintenance thing. Go ahead.
Maybe I can do the cuts somehow into the design. So when I cover that thing, will be not that ugly stripped piece of metal. Might have something that will be part of the design and the light will go through.
Great.
I don't know, it's something to just be aware of.
So what we would have to do in that case is, rather than do the design on top of the louvers,
Right.
you're suggesting remove those louvers and then use the
Right.
applique
Right.
as the louver, as the
Right,
cover of
right.
the light.
There's something that would allow the same amount of light to go through, but it's kind of, yeah, it's something just to, you know.
Light bulb.
So how do you change, if you do that, you'd have to have a way that that could be open.
Right, it could be
The light
removed,
bulbs could
yes.
be, okay.
Yeah, we have to design in such a way, a panel that it doesn't visually impact anything, but you can remove it and do something. So little technical. So this is design number one. And then the
Can I,
second,
hold on a second?
Yes.
Can we ask questions?
yes,
Yeah,
Okay.
So, what, I wanna be sure that we're absolutely clear here. So design number A, or no, option number one, is the risers and then the side panels.
Right.
And the side panels include facing interior, facing in the front,
interior,
and on the top.
Yes.
Okay, so,
So that you can see in here, renderings.
so before we move, why don't we let him give a real quick, for the, for the public to just, if anybody watches this video, to see the options visually very quickly. If you could, they're on the
I mean,
screen,
it's the
right?
same thing there.
Okay, great. Let's go to the next one, and then we're gonna come back and ask you questions on every one.
As we move through, can we refer to them as numbers, as the way he's numbered?
that's number one.
Number
Yeah,
one.
I know the attachments are labeled A, B, C, and D, but he's referring to them as numbers, so if we could just refer to numbers so we don't get confused. Okay, thank you.
So this is option,
Number two will be above the door, the big mosaic surface. It's all porcelain, mosaic, same thing, nature-inspired elements. If that goes through, obviously, I would make the full-size drawings with all the elements, full size. You look at them, you can make changes, suggestions of any kind at that point. And then, when that's approved, then it goes into production.
okay?
So it's pretty
And that
simple.
only includes the overdoor, so that's just the cost for the overdoor.
Just that, yeah.
And when
That's
you
the
go
cost
down below-
individually for each
It's just the overdoor.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's, and then I just did this thing like how they would look like if you have both of them, and you wanna do this as phase one with budget restrictions would be just the stair risers and the above the door.
So that's option one and two.
Option one and two. That would be a nice step to do together.
Yeah.
Eventually, you know.
And put together, that's what he's explaining.
Oh, thank
He
you.
put those two together.
So we're gonna call it one and two, okay.
One plus two.
And do we have a price on that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combined price.
14
Combined
plus
price. It's a
16.
combined price.
Okay, thank you,
It is-
sorry,
it is listed here.
I gotcha, sorry.
Yeah,
so it's 14 plus 16,
yeah.
right? Just correct.
All right, so number three would be the side panels. That is some point you suggested that you want something that is Japanese stamps, rectangle and all that stuff. So might look something like this.
That's with option one, option two, and
Three.
it includes three.
So the cost that you list here is obviously just for the side,
Just for the
For
side.
evidently for the side
I
panel.
tried to get it just to give you an idea that maybe
It's
you
for-
want to do all of them at the same time. I don't know.
But that's not the price to do all of
This
it.
would be
16 and
48, this
18.
would be 48,000
Yeah.
total,
It says
yeah.
it's
cause
just
it's
for the,
18 additional,
Yeah.
18K.
Yes, correct.
okay? And I just, since I have a little bit more time to go crazy with my mind, I came up with this thing. That, you never know. I said,
Is that like option five?
Yes, an option for the side panels that would be very,
And my guess is-
organic and, because at some point you mentioned something round and was not very clear that you want that. And I said, okay, let's do something other than rectangles, maybe do the big leaves, and these will be made of Corten bars and fill in the mosaic.
So it'll be a hybrid of both the
Yes,
Cortez
yes,
and
so
the.
that way you have a little bit of a connection and transition from the stairs to
So that would be 18 also, or do you have a different price for that?
20,000.
20,000.
So, but it doesn't have the panel, so it'd be 50,000, because it was 30,000 without the side panels, and this is 20.
This is just for.
Yes, yeah, but then this combined is 30,000.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's.
So then this total would be 50,000.
Yeah.
We just have to determine how much each project is, yeah.
Yeah, and really focus on the art, it would probably be better, then we can talk about price.
When you talk about
Yeah,
privacy.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't misinterpreting what the numbers are on each page, because at first I thought, you know, some artists, the more you get, proportionally, the less you pay. You still pay more, but it's not like independent objects, but that
That
would
out,
be.
really want people to focus on those.
Now, we don't have that picture, but, we're calling it option 5, so I've written it down.
Okay, so
Yeah.
option 5,
Right.
leaves with corton on the trim and tile on the inner.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you wanna go with that organic.
On the-
And another thing that you wanted, I think, was the ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's number 4.
And that somehow poses some little problems. First of all, anything that would go behind the handrails post is kind of a tight in there. I'll have to figure out how to squeeze that. And also on this side, the whole thing kind of goes underneath the bench. So I don't think I can
Right.
put any artwork underneath the bench, and also might have to stop in there somehow. So that.
kinda warned you about that.
Be adjusted and see.
Do you have a close-up of that area? A picture of a close-up?
No, but it's there is a bench that stops like that, and cannot go under it. So that was my stop right with the benches.
Yeah.
So a little adjustment.
That'll be wonky when you look at it though. I noticed that the, photo that you submitted in the packet doesn't have the Corten on the vertical panels, but your picture there does.
Oh, I did that, sorry.
So,
Yeah, no, it has to be, yeah, vertical and top, yeah.
okay, so, because that impacts, I imagine that impacts the cost.
At that time, I was thinking that might have a difficulty to see things behind this posting, hand-railing posts, you know, the vertical ones. They kind of touch the wall in there, so it's hard to get, I wasn't sure if I can do that.
You have a different price on this one than we have.
And
It's
you also do
different.
the facing panel on there, but you didn't have that here.
But yeah,
So this estimated project cost was, that's obviously gonna be more, right?
1.6, and the one we have is 3.
Instead of 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
yeah, because I was thinking just the top,
Yeah,
not be
got it.
sure I can do the sides. And I may not be able to do the sides.
So you don't, okay, so you don't know if you could do the interior faces?
Yeah, I don't know, you have to go there to see
All right, okay,
how much room there is and, you know,
all right. Any other options that you bring to the table?
that's
That's it?
covers
Okay.
everything.
Did you have a scope of it? Now, and everybody understands that, now we can go to the question round, so, we'll just kind of go in order, because I know everybody has comments or questions. Why don't we start with them?
Okay, should I also mention like my preference, or are we just
Let's
going?
not do that now,
Okay.
let's get all the questions on the table and get them answered and.
Okay, so,
Number one.
okay, so on design number 1, my question is this gonna be a repeat pattern, or did you just do that in the interest of kind of create, like, see how it looks like blocks almost of pattern?
It's not gonna be a repeat pattern.
Okay, so it's
Okay.
like a continuous.
But it's not one big piece, I cannot do 15 foot of that, okay?
You can't?
No, I can't.
But the actual design will be
It's gonna be
continuous and not
sections,
a
and
pattern.
they're gonna be, you know, joined together. And the joint is part of the design.
Will the joint be visible?
Not necessarily, it can be done to be part of the design. Somehow, you know, curves of things to go with the design. Unless you really look very closely, but otherwise it's not gonna be visible.
Okay, but
But
the
it's
answer is,
sections, and maybe, I think the laser goes, the biggest I can do is 8 foot, so I might be able to do 2, but it all depends, 2 or 3.
but the entire design would be unique all the way around,
Yes,
all the way
yeah.
across. Okay, because that was that was my number one question,
Yeah,
Joe.
no, and I would, as I said, I will supply the full-size drawing for it, you know, so you can see it.
My other question is, I noticed that we have an application on the top,
Yeah,
and I just wonder if that is going to be feasible, like, won't like leaves and things collect in that and just sort of, won't it kind of become like a maintenance nightmare?
Probably not, it's kind of narrow, and I'm looking at it right now, and I didn't see a lot of dirt on it or anything like that.
Didn't see a lot of what?
Dirt, I didn't see a lot of dirt on those.
The whole thing gets sealed, right? So there's nothing that can get underneath the metal.
Nothing can get on.
Oh, so there'll be no like grooves? It will be a smooth surface?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Is that-
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem
Okay.
in that respect, and then
Do
you
you know
have.
how
to
long
see
that, you know how long that rail is?
Just in here?
Yeah.
Probably about 50 inches, if I'm not
Okay, so
mistaken.
you could do that in one piece.
I can do that
Okay.
one piece. Yeah, these are gonna be all one pieces. Front, top, and
Yeah.
side.
Okay.
They're small enough for that.
Does that capture all your questions on, well, let's go through option one. That's all your questions on one, okay. Commissioner Corbin?
I don't have any questions.
Beautiful. I don't have any questions.
David, do you have any questions?
Yeah, but consider changing out the doors.
Sorry?
I know, they really.
What was your comment?
Changing out the doors.
We're talking about the doors. Off the subject.
Yeah, don't even,
And the reason I ask is that I think, these designs, whatever is chosen, are very attractive and appropriate and striking and terrific, but the doors are awful. And you're looking, it draws your attention into the doors, right? And that's not what you want, right? So I'm just saying, put dark frame doors or something like that.
We can talk
There.
offline.
Yeah, we can talk offline, but that would be my question. You all have asked the questions that I was gonna ask, so I don't have anything other than that. It looks wonderful.
This is your opportunity to make any comment you want.
I was already thinking about that. I didn't want to be too pushy because I thought we need stained glass on the doors.
That crossed my mind too, but
But the problem with stained glass is that you're gonna see it only at night when the light comes from the inside, and during the day it's not visible. It's good for the people in.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It can be done. I was thinking
changing out
about
the
that.
steel to something dark would be a user fee.
Are those doors safety doors in any way? Are they fire doors and safety doors? Do you know?
I have to look, I doubt they're safety doors, but they're safety glass. There's a lot that goes into it, and once again, that's off the topic, so if we can just stay on that, we can talk about it. It's a maintenance thing.
It is off the topic? Cause
It's
it's
talking
from,
about changing the doors.
Uh-huh.
Talking about changing the doors.
well, I'm just talking about the whole facade.
Are we expanding the scope of this part now? I'm not saying it's out of the reason, that's why I said we'll talk about that.
I mean, I'm noting your comment because it is an integral facade design, obviously it would add money, it would add expense.
so my comment on that is the easiest way to do that is use a steel paint and just paint the doors, whatever black color you want, easy.
Is paint feasible? That's one thing to ask. Okay, Commissioner Morris?
So I just want to clarify this question that Jenna had so that I understand it. We have the top. And so it's not gonna have texture to it. It's not gonna be like, lace has texture to it and has openings and so on. Is it going to have a texture to it or is it completely smooth when you put it down?
Well, the metal is smooth, but you have the cutouts.
Yeah.
Which is probably, maybe a 16th of an inch
Okay.
that goes down and you
Right.
see that.
Okay. So that's exactly what I
That's
thought.
it.
So there will be an opportunity for dust and leaves and so on to sit on it and maybe get stuck on it if the, leaf blowers blow it the wrong way or something. So I just wanted to make sure I understood that. And then,
Probably the leaves are not gonna stick.
okay,
Maybe a little dust, but that's because I'm using epoxy underneath.
yes,
That's gonna be, so all the edges are sealed, no leaf will go underneath
Right.
and stay there.
right,
And
okay.
the dust will go away.
Likely it'll just blow off, okay. And then, can we talk about the ramp a little bit, the top of the ramp?
No, right now we're only
Okay.
talking about
I'm
this.
done.
Take it one at a time, right?
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, now my questions. I would like to minimize the tile look. The joinery is Matt, so one of my big questions, which you already answered, was on the risers. If you can look at like one unrepeating long thing, even if it's made up of small pieces, I want it to look like one non-repeating long thing. So
Yeah.
that's answered. By the same token, on the side panels, on the steps, I would like that piece to be one, it looks like one piece, not like 3 vertical tiles on
Oh,
each
yeah,
side.
yeah, it's gonna be one piece, yeah.
And it also will be non-repeating and unique.
Probably this one will mirror that one.
That's all right. I mean, one
Yeah.
side, when you look at it, it is non-repeating in any
No,
way.
it's not repeating, it's just like one big design in itself, that you can frame and put it on the wall.
So
But
it wouldn't look
yeah,
like
it's
3
gonna be
vertical,
the same thing, but like a mirror.
so it wouldn't look like 3 vertical tiles. 3 vertical panels. The
No,
way
it's
it
not
looks
gonna look
here.
like 3 vertical panels, this is what
I'm sorry?
it's not gonna look like 3 vertical panels.
Okay, great.
It's just one big, I did this thing on Photoshop, I kind of repeated it. As I said, I will bring the drawings, the real size drawings for you to see it before approving anything.
The next question, just to be absolutely sure, the design elements that you've used in, say, each one of these little components, you're not proposing those particular designs, or are you? The actual cutouts
I will in the real
in
size,
this drawing.
no, not on this.
Okay.
I will bring the real size production drawing for what you approve to do.
Okay.
And then you'll see that real size, I'll roll it down on the floor and you can see it.
Okay. Just to be, all right.
I'll be like, please.
So these are just representative examples. So for example, where you're not proposing to put a lizard on the risers.
I will put a lizard on the risers.
Okay. So are all the elements on these risers, elements that you're gonna propose in the final design? You know,
Might be-
I can't tell what everything is. It looks like.
No, right now, this is just a placeholder.
Okay.
I'll bring you the real design, the real size, if you go for this particular face, this design. I'll bring you the real drawing with
Right.
all the elements in it, that
So I
you
heard-
can judge, change, do whatever, and I'll do it until you're satisfied, and then goes into production.
Okay, I also, while I like the design that's here, in terms of what it looks like, I had a question about the Core 10. Can the Core 10 take on different colors based on the underlying metal, or is it always that same one that you showed us?
It's the same, once it gets, oxidized, it turns into this rusty color.
Okay, so there's no option, from my experience, okay, when I was doing some Core 10 work in my home, they gave us 3 options. There was a black rust option, there was the red-brown rust option, and there was a green patina to look like copper option.
Okay.
And so, you're not proposing any options, it's this color.
The reason I am saying stay with the rust, because it's the only one that's natural. Anything happen to it, it will never change the color. It's always gonna be that. The other 2 are induced patinas. They require maintenance. The black one is gonna fade in time, is gonna become grayish. The green one also is gonna fade in time. The only time the green stays stable is on copper. But if you put it on metal, on steel, then you have to come back and fix that, and that costs money.
Okay. And yeah, you're right, the green option was on copper, and I ended up using that on the ends of my beams coming out of my
Yeah.
Craftsman thing.
Well,
Okay.
it can be done, but I would not do it.
So
here on the
that would be a
stairs.
lot more expensive.
If you have it somewhere that's, nobody touches it, that's fine.
Okay,
But this is gonna be abused.
okay. The next question has to do, as you bring from the interior sides and you come over the top,
Right.
is that gonna be a seamless design in terms of, will one spill into the other, or will it actually look like 2 completely discontinuous designs?
Yeah, they're different plates.
I know they're different plates, but are they gonna be discontinuous designs?
I have to go a little bit inside the surface,
Okay,
maybe.
so you'll see a little sliver of cement,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And, let me see, I think that's all, the only questions I had on, drawing number 1. Thank you.
I appreciate your knowledge on the Corten.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
that was
been
really
working with
interesting.
it for more than 10 years now,
Yeah.
so.
No, it's very helpful making a decision. Okay, so I'll just start asking. questions. Okay.
Now we're on number 2.
So, I really like this one because I like that we're injecting some color. My question is about like adhering this, like, isn't that gonna be very heavy? Because it's all,
Well, it has some weight to it, but it's probably not gonna be more than, I would say, 4 or 5, maybe 6 pounds per square foot.
and how many pieces is that? Like,
Okay.
how big are the tiles?
The way this thing is done, and especially the challenge here is that this is curved, okay? So I cannot do straight panels. I have to do it on mesh, on metal mesh. So the design and the pieces are cut along to whatever the design lines are, you know, curves like that. So the piece might have a curve and the next piece has got a curve, and you put them together, and they're gonna be affixed with metal little screws and epoxy on. I have to probe the surface. I think it's stucco, but I'm not so sure. And then you grout everything, and you're not gonna see, you don't know where those things join.
So this is adhered pretty, substantially. I mean, there's no risk of pieces like falling.
No,
Okay,
no.
just since it's right above a doorway. And then, is this design, is it feathers? I was trying to figure out what the design pattern is.
Well, the design is gonna encompass, it's gonna have all these natural elements like this.
Okay.
Which I'm gonna have butterflies and flowers and hummingbirds, and once again, regular full-size design, put it on the floor, you look at it and you can say, I found this butterfly. You know, you can change the elements the way you want it. But we decided to go nature inspired, like park-like, you know, organic. And you can, the way you saw it in the little sample that I had, most of the elements are three-dimensional. You know, it's not a flat mosaic like you usually see. Like people buy tiles and they cut it and make a mosaic. It's not that. Everything is done by hand. And the colors are specifically done for the design. So it's a little intricate. It's just labor intensive.
Okay. And the pieces have different like opaqueness, right? Cause I remember like some of those tiles were clear and then some were solid in your design.
Well, no, well, they all have a glossy finish.
Yeah,
We gotta go for, natural colors that are not gonna be too strong. They're a little, you know, a little faded and, you know, nothing really that will pop in your eyes, you know. And, as I said, it's gonna be three-dimensional, some flat in between, but things are gonna stick out a little bit, an inch or two, so that gives it a different quality, you know, visually. As I said, it's labor intensive because everything has to be done with porcelain. So you fire the pieces first to bisque, and then you have to glaze it like 3 layers of glaze and fire. And sometimes it doesn't come out the way I want it, so I have to put more glaze and fire it again. PG&E is gonna love me, but that's okay.
And are these electric fired
Yes.
in oxidation?
The kiln, it's electric, yeah.
It's electric. Okay, okay. I'll ask more of my questions when it comes to me. Is that it? Okay, Mr. Corrigan?
No questions, thank you.
No questions.
David?
No. Thank you.
Mr. Morris?
Just a couple, are you gonna do, it's a high gloss finish, are you doing any matte in there, are you thinking any matte, or are you just thinking all high gloss?
It's probably, I'm not so sure I'm gonna do it very high glass,
Okay.
because I don't want reflections, but it could be like a satin. And I will do probably the whole thing in satin. I mean, there's no reason to do 2 different matte and that,
Okay.
it doesn't help in any ways.
Okay, thank you.
My questions are, in terms of the mosaic nature of it. You know, it's a kind of a larger scale mosaic, right? You're not proposing small scale mosaic?
It's, the pieces vary, you know.
Vary all
Some-
over?
Yeah, you know,
And
a
it'll be
laser could be a little big.
sort of linear.
Or it could be small little pieces, you know?
More like organic.
Yeah, right.
Whenever I think of ceramics, cause I collect them, there are two factors in the design. One is the colorway, just the general colorway, which is kind of gives you the tone. So there might be a green colorway, it might be a jewel tone colorway, it might be a pastel colorway, it might be a white colorway. But then the elements can have different colors, right? And the intensity, the contrast between those can be intense, right? Like, oh my God, they pop. Or they can be very related and analogous with the colorway. So, what is your vision, without getting into the details of the elements, but is your vision to be something where the elements will pop from the underlying, do you have an underlying colorway to propose, or you're gonna give us options?
Well, I
Like,
think,
if I look at this one, the colorway is green.
yeah, yeah, I think it's a spectrum of greenish and, maybe go into some, a little yellowish and a little bluish aqua color. But I don't want anything high contrast.
Okay.
You know, I like it to be very muted, the whole thing. You don't need to come to the door and that pops in your eyes. It's no point to do that. I can do it, but I don't think it's appropriate.
Okay.
Because it becomes too busy. You know, if you do this too, you got this, a lot of little stuff, and then this, a lot of this. So you don't want too much of that visual.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of.
Right, it has to complement each other, be nice, so it kind of draws your attention. Ah, I have to look at that. Oh, look, there is a little thing in there, okay? Something like that, I think.
Something that we'll also have to think about as we look at the options and make our decisions is whether we want the risers, i.e. the Core 10, to be analogous to the mosaic or complementary to the mosaic. The way it's designed right now, it's quite complementary, red and green. So we might choose a more earthy colorway if we want it to be more analogous.
Sure.
And then in terms of maintenance, it can be washed,
Here you have.
and since it's not facing the sun, we don't have to
It's
worry
not
about
facing sun,
leaking.
it's not facing anything, it's vertical, nothing sticks to it.
Does the facing have a side? Is there a side that you're gonna be
I think there
tiling?
is a little bit, I'm not so sure, there is a little bit of a side. I don't know how deep that thing is, probably not too deep. We
How
can,
about underneath?
underneath it's gonna be flat, we cannot do anything underneath.
So it'll be whatever, it's the white overhang.
We can paint it, if it's too bright,
White.
yeah, if it's too bright,
I think it probably
Yeah.
needs to be
I
painted.
don't remember exactly if it's totally white, but we can paint it. we
So
can paint it.
Director Hernandez, is that something that we should take on
No,
operationally, or should we put it in this quote?
no, we'll deal with it operationally,
Yeah.
such as the doors.
It's an easy thing.
All that stuff, we can deal with it.
Somebody in there.
We're just discussing and deciding on the art right now, and we can work on those other peripheral details later.
Okay, that covers my questions on, Sal, thank you. Next.
Okay, so then I have this thing, just to give you an idea, if you do both things in one shot. And then we have the side panels, should be similar to this. An idea. We might work on that to make a little bit of a variation. So the colors on the panels should not be totally like this. Maybe these two on each side will have the same color tonality, and then go sideways, we can change that to more brownish or something, you know, just to give it a little bit of,
Well, it'll, with the Core 10, it'll create an envelope effect if you do that.
Yeah.
Around the green center.
so, but that's also, once again, it's the next phase. You decide to do this thing, then I have to make the drawings, and I have to make some color samples. And talk about that and see, you want this to be all the same, can we vary this thing a little bit? You know, those are details that go in the next phase.
Okay, let's just reverse the order. Do you have any questions on this particular, on the side panels?
Only that I think it's not necessary.
Okay, we'll get to the opinions,
Yeah,
just
no.
clarifying questions.
No, I do, as far as material and stuff like that, no. I'm fine.
This one's number 3, right? Commissioner Morris?
I just have one question that goes for all of the, porcelain. The glaze for cracking, will there, you know how glazes will.
Crazy? Yeah, crazy.
The crazing part of it, is that something that will happen with this, with time?
Not necessarily. Porcelain is pretty durable
Right.
and, takes the extreme temperatures, cold and heat pretty good. And
Okay.
usually doesn't do that unless I use that type of glaze. Then sometimes artists do that,
Okay,
they crack on thin,
okay.
you know, just in case, something happens, but it's designed to be that way.
Crazing that exists will happen from the firing mostly.
Yeah.
Because we don't take these ceramics through the thermal.
Well, it
cold
happens with time too, with
Yeah, but
ceramics, so you get it in.
They do that and
Yeah.
ceramics even peel off at cold temperatures.
Right.
If you get 30 degrees Fahrenheit, you know,
Yeah,
it's
but
not,
that's in bad
porcelain
glazing.
does not do that.
I'm just trying to think of 20 years down the line, 25 years down the line, I'm trying to make sure we're.
No, porcelain will,
Okay, that's good.
will survive, yeah.
Okay, that's great,
Use the
thank you.
glazes that the Batchelders use in doing the Gamble House, and it's 90 years old and not a single craze line on them.
Well,
And
how
they
about
say
the-
Pasadena
How
Sun.
about the Roman mosaics? 2,000 years ago, they're
Yeah.
perfect. Not as good as the Romans.
My question, way back to that one, I have a question, the other one, I'm number 4, or number 3,
The one before, yeah, because they didn't ask their questions yet.
number 3. Yeah, the question I have is how are the big side tiles affixed to the wall, to the board and batten wall?
The boards? Well, once again, I think the walls are wood, if I'm not
The
mistaken.
board and batten, yeah.
Yeah, so there are various ways to do it. I might frame it, you know, maybe I'll frame every single one with a quarter right angle. And then, have little brackets and screw it into the whole thing. I might use some base support, you know, like a little right angle, stick it in there and have screws. I don't know exactly what would be the best way to do it, but it's gonna be solid. I mean, you're not gonna.
It not only has to be solid, it has to be secure, because
Yeah,
people
sure.
may try to take it.
That can be arranged because, little pieces of porcelain in the corner can be put in later. Put a screw in and put a little piece on top. I've done that many times, so they don't know exactly what the screw is. It's gonna be difficult to remove. Okay.
Since those are straight, are you gonna use the same, grout and mesh method, or are you
No,
gonna
on this one, I'm gonna use, cement boards.
cement boards, okay? All right, that's it on that. Now, I think,
You remember you
Uh,
have water?
You have all the, I have no questions, thank you.
no question. We're good.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know, the crazy idea, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll think about it. You know, it's option for the case. Already.
I definitely want to talk about that one.
Questions?
Once we're done with
Once we're
4,
done with
let's
4,
do
yeah.
number 4, that's number 5, let's do number 4, because
Okay, so.
Dr. Hernandez keeps saying that, so.
So the big unknown here is, well, let's go back. Questions? Questions? Go ahead.
Can you do it in a narrower strip? So I really, I'm not supposed to say my opinion. Can you do a narrower strip of this so that you don't have to worry about the posts and the edges? So instead of making it the width of the top, can you do it narrower? Or could you
But
do it with a little meander, or could,
But that's not the issue. I'm talking about the vertical side of the.
oh yeah, I know. Yeah, so you came up with the solution of putting it on top
Yeah. Well,
instead.
the top is not a problem at all.
It's gonna be on top.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, okay, I didn't know it was always gonna be on top.
Side, because
Okay.
this post are
Yeah.
so close,
Got it.
so I'm not so sure I can get behind it.
So the top, there's no issue at
Oh,
all
no,
with the flow of the top,
It's just,
until you get to the bench.
that's the only issue there.
Okay,
The
so
other
when
side,
you,
it's okay.
We need to look at that.
when you get to the bench, I'm trying to remember, I believe that the bench,
I mean, I
oh
can,
yeah, no, the
I
bench.
can stick the thing under the bench, but does that make
How
any
far
sense?
does it go?
No.
6 inches or 2 feet?
What?
Like
It's
3
going underneath
underneath
the
the
bench.
bench.
It's probably about an inch. The bench covers the concrete curb,
Okay.
goes over probably this much.
So it's not, it wouldn't be visible that there's exposed concrete there underneath.
Unless you kind of.
Yeah, right, okay, I was envisioning, you know, here's the thing.
Oh,
here's
no,
the
no,
bench,
no,
and you could
that
see
would-
all, they just stop.
That'll be no problem, no,
The bench.
it's very tight.
It sits right on top of the wall,
Right.
and then it stops right at the end of the step riser thingy. And then, but it continues on the other side.
Well, in that case, it is visible. I didn't realize it was that much of a gap between the bench seating area and the top of the rail. It's a good, looks like it's that much. So, that would look weird.
If you guys go and look at this, Terry and I looked at it. I'm just gonna say right now, I don't think this is a feasible,
You don't think?
I don't think this is feasible.
At all?
In any, in
No.
top sides or bottom, nothing?
I think top sides might work,
But
but
I think that's
sides
on the-
not gonna work.
No, the
Because
sides will
it
not
goes
work.
like this.
Yeah, and the poles,
Yeah.
it's just, I just
mean,
don't think it's feasible.
I-
I appreciate
I
you.
remember your argument
attempting that.
was, that I didn't even think about it, that there are people coming
Yeah.
that way and they don't see the front, so they need something, you know.
We want everyone to enjoy the
Right,
art, but
yeah.
if we have an awning, then everyone gets to enjoy it. They don't have to use the stairs to enjoy the awning.
No, if you come up the ramp, it's hard to see that.
Yeah, if you come up
You're
the ramp,
right,
you'll
It's
see
still
it.
there.
But here's-
You can look up and see.
So my question is, can we do a variation that's only on the top and that would have maybe a whimsical feel to it, that would tie in the risers and maybe what's up on the wall? So maybe there's gonna be some tile work that's gonna be on, not solid, not the whole thing, but a little whimsical. Here's a little lizard, here's a little bug, here's a little humming, you know, so you have this little movement that leads you to the door, ties these things
You
together.
mean on the vertical?
No, I'm talking about on top only.
Oh,
Or
so
could-
different from the Corten?
Yeah.
Maybe you could do like.
But it's
a few
gonna match
little
this
porcelain pieces that kind of leads
Yes.
up to the awning.
Have
And then
a
that can
little
tie
bit
it
of
in.
whimsy to it.
Yeah.
And then if not, if that's something that isn't feeling, what I was saying is go a little narrower with this piece and give it a little movement or something, because when you do that, it doesn't, you don't have that linear feel, so it's not like, oh, there's the bench, we have to stop. You keep your eye moving, so you actually have a flow, and it feels good when you see it, and then we cover that
Now you're
area,
talking about the top.
only the
So you're
top.
talking about putting a squiggle line on the top?
No, just like little pieces that kind of lead into the overall design.
I was saying
Right?
either or. I was saying, if you did it like a little squiggle, okay, that'd be kind of cool. If you did little pieces of the ceramic along there, that would be pretty cool, right? Cause you're tying this stuff together, you're bringing some things in
Sure.
and decorating.
Can you put individual ceramic tiles sporadically on the top of that rail?
Absolutely.
Yeah, easy peasy.
I think that'd be
How do
kind
you
of fun.
like the sides of the tile?
It's like organic pieces, like
They're
it'd be like in
organic
the shape of a lizard or a shape of.
they have. You know, every tile has thickness, right, on the side that's
Not
raw?
that thick.
No, not necessarily. If I make them by hand, they just go down like this, you know, it's like.
So you would hand shape them,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
and they're gonna be cemented.
That would be
so-
custom
I just
tile.
don't want us to
Wouldn't
get
be like
stuck on
any-
debating this design, because I just don't think it's really feasible to do the side.
I like that idea. I'm not so sure about squiggles, because this whole building is linear.
Right.
Well, not
Lift
squiggle,
it up,
just
have
something
some
that-
fun.
Something that,
Lift it up.
This is the chambers.
something that ties in the awning design into it.
I agree. I'm like,
This is kind of austere. I think if you have low confidence that you can squish the panel on the sides, on the interiors, because of the vertical poles, maybe we shouldn't risk it, shouldn't consider it.
I think
So that you'd have to make a test piece. I mean, can you make a small test piece to see if you could jam it in there? Or is that too much? Too
No, I can
expensive?
try, you know, I didn't look very closely, into the whole thing, but I looked at it and I said, this is too tight and kind of.
That's what we thought.
Yeah.
Kind of a squeeze.
I also think it draws attention to the poles, to be honest.
And it looks too forced.
You know, it's like, oh, we've got these poles that are ruining our design. So maybe focusing on the top might be better.
The top would be okay, I mean,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the sides. is-
So,
Yeah, let's nix it.
So if you just did the tops, would it go back down to 3,000, do you think, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever was the initial.
So, okay, so I think for the top, if we only do the tops, then we should, consider either Corten or ceramic or a combination
Right.
somehow.
And I need to make a new
Those
design.
are some options for us. Okay, was that was, no, now 5, that's,
So be it.
Chair,
yes.
the only thing is, I was asked if I had questions, those were my questions, and then we all went in.
Oh,
So if
everybody
you
started
wanna do-
asking, did
I-
anybody
I'm
have
sure
any
they're gonna say
questions that
nothing,
went
but I-
unanswered?
Okay. Just wanna make sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Where are we starting?
Okay, any questions on 5?
Are I guess they're leaves, right?
Yeah.
They're ceramic, is that right?
Porcelain.
The outside,
I'm gonna borrow this for
Yes.
1 second, just to show the
the,
camera.
the outside, it's gonna be,
The Corten.
corten tubing, square tubing, to create the
On
shape.
the outside.
The perimeter.
The perimeter and inside, you know, the little leaf,
The veins.
Do you mind if we pass this one around since we don't have it? Is that okay?
and then in between stick the porcelain tips. So it's a hybrid, and that way maybe continue a little bit, take a little bit from the corten on the stairs and put it on the wall. You know, I don't know.
It's more interesting than the panels. frankly.
So the Corten provides more than just the outline, it actually provides dimension inside and design inside the panel.
Right, yeah, for the leaf, and then in between we have all the other elements, natural elements.
Okay, questions?
Yeah, so, I really like the idea of incorporating the Corten with the porcelain, just to tie it all together, so it doesn't seem like 2 separate elements. Could, instead of doing the leaves, could we incorporate the Corten in the awning design?
That's the problem, I was thinking about it, it's difficult because it's curved.
Oh.
And I have to do that in little pieces to attach it. And to have continuous bars of porcelain, if it can, it's possible. But I have to use machine shops to do that, and it's gonna cost a fortune. I cannot do that by hand. I have to make an entire structure that fits into that and just plop it into the whole thing. That these days is like, I don't think it's necessary. If it would have been flat, then no problem. But because of that curve, it's like,
Commissioner Corrigan, any?
No, thank you.
My only question was, I didn't see the price on this one.
20.
20? Okay, that's my only question, thank you. 20, sorry.
20-day additional.
Yes.
just for,
Yeah.
for the walls.
Yeah. Okay,
We appreciate the à la carte pricing, thank you.
questions?
No questions.
Okay. Are there any limitations on the design, in terms of what you would do? Obviously, you've got curves there, you've got points. We already know you can make squares and rectangles. You know, so in terms of what you end up doing in this interesting design that's not a rectangular panel, you don't have any constraints, right?
No, no question.
Whether it's size, so let's say we didn't want it to completely cover the whole face, you could make them smaller.
Oh, yeah. This was, as I said,
And the
this
attach-
came to me as an idea and I put it on the paper, but I didn't refine the thing. I would probably measure the whole thing. I think these are look a little bigger for the surface. Here, I might make them a little smaller.
And the attachment would be the same mechanism as for the mosaic tiles.
This one is gonna be on the background, it's gonna have, the cement boards.
Okay. But you still screw those in, right?
Yes, yeah. This one is gonna be all screws in various places, and then the screw is covered with a little piece of mosaic.
Okay. Did everybody, do you have any questions or? Okay, so we all have asked our questions. Now we can get to the qualitative assessments, what you like, what you don't like.
So I'm gonna leave these with you, whatever you needed to show it to them, also, whatever.
Now, do you want to be here for that conversation, or would you rather not be? Because in
It's up to
somebody,
you if you want me to give it.
sometimes if somebody's stating an opinion, their proposed solution may not be feasible.
Yeah, if you still have questions, sure, I'll say.
But on the other hand, then, you might hear some things that
Yeah.
are uncomfortable, and I want to make sure that you're okay with. doing critical review.
I've been doing this
All right.
for 25 years.
His skin is thick.
They did that to me a lot, so I'm used to it.
With that, let's start. I'm not asking right now for which options you would like to do. I'm asking you to give more qualitative assessments of the elements, like you don't like that element because you just think it's too much, or you don't like the shape of it or the scale of it, or we shouldn't cover that panel on the ramp, or things like that. Now you're stating your opinions, and I'll try to record them. David, you want to start? I know you've already mentioned the door, but do you want to make other comments?
As far as what I like and
Dislike.
dislike. I like the idea of the piece above the doors. I think that makes a statement going in, it draws everybody in, which I think is what you want. I'm not, I think that combined with the leaves, right, the big mosaic leaves, I like those. I guess what I'm concluding here is that we've got a list of the various things that can be used for design, and how do you want to piece them together? It's like a puzzle, right, in my mind, right? And so these are some of the solutions to the puzzle, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to conform to the suggestion, right? But we can use the various pieces, and so on. So for me, in thinking that way, the awning above the door, the leaves on each side are good. I like the idea of the mosaic on the top. In fact, you could incorporate the leaves on top of using the mosaics down the path, right? There's different sized leaves. I mean, it makes.
Top of the ramp, you mean?
Yeah,
On top of the ramp?
yeah, on the ramp, right? I don't know what to do with the stairs. I'm not sure it's, I don't know, I'm not sure what it adds, frankly, other than the cost.
This originated as a stair project, so that's why I think there's a stair component to it.
If you have all of this, your eyes are gonna go here.
It did, if the original call for art was the stair risers, only. That's where it started, yeah,
Okay.
and it's grown from there.
Oh, I see,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
You got a life of its own.
Well, when it was the art commission, it started with risers only, yeah.
Commissioner Morris?
Okay, so we're giving opinions.
You're giving.
Okay,
qualitative opinions.
So, I like the idea of tying all the pieces together as we've been shown. I have a concern about if this gets picked apart, and if council says we want only this or this, how that's gonna look, how we're gonna make that work so that it doesn't feel disjointed. I, of course, love my idea of having, the top of the ramp part to be, a little more whimsical, ties into the piece over the top. I could see it, and I really like the leaves on the building, the idea of the leaves on the building, I love that idea. I love that we have the corten that then ties the risers together. The part that's bothered me all along is not having corten somewhere up there. Because for me, that feels like it's just separate artwork. And I really wanna bring the pieces together so that the stairs aren't like, here it is, and then here's this. So anyway, that's one thing I really liked about that. I think the leaves do need to be smaller. That was the first thing I thought, is these leaves need to be smaller. But I like the flow of them and the kind of natural, position. There is one thing I will say about this, because Chair has said this a number of times. This is our city hall. This is the chamber. And so I wonder about the leaves. I think the leaves are really modern and I think they're appropriate to this day and age. But if there's any concern about it, another idea, I thought about was smaller squares instead of big, long panels, because I feel like it's way too busy with the longer panels. So I'd like to see maybe a series of 3 squares. I already know I'm out of the water on my circle or oval idea. So if we don't do leaves, I think we need to rein that in a little bit, because it's too much. And, razor sides, if not panel. I think that's it for me. I think it's great. I really appreciate everything you brought into this and appreciate the à la carte pricing, so we can go at this in that way. I do feel like à la carte might shoot us in the foot. You know.
Excuse me, if again, for staff's benefit, I did not hear any opinion on 1, 2.
Can you say that louder?
Oh, so you want me to spell it out?
Please, yeah, if you don't
Okay.
like 1 or 2, then please just say it out, because, right now, what staff is hearing is
Okay.
you like option number 4 modified, because you came up with the idea of the tiles on the side.
Yes. Or
You like option.
No, he's right.
And please.
No, he's got
Option
it.
number 5, you like that one with some modifications to the leaf. That's
Yep.
all that staff has you down for, so you don't like any of the other 3?
No, I do.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
please.
above the door, I think is great.
Okay. Thank you.
The total wall panels, I do not care for, so that's number 3. So number 2, yay, 3, don't care for it, unless it's modified to smaller squares. Prefer number 5 to that. And then, number 1 is the risers and the stair railing. For me, that discussion is over. That was decided at our last meeting. I think that's fine.
Okay, so you have that.
And you know what, Mr. Lippman was talking about for the incorporating the light fixture into it, as long as we can get to the light bulb,
We'll work it out, that's.
I think that's great. I think these are details that
If that happens, yeah.
staff has to do.
So
Okay.
let's go back to Commissioner Young, because I don't think you highlighted by number.
He did. I got all his
Can you
information.
repeat it for me, please?
Yeah, he said option number 2, the things that, he prefers, option number 2, option number 5, and the modified option number 4. He doesn't like option number 2 or number 1. I mean, sorry, 3 and 1.
Thank you.
We need to paint the doors.
Not an option right now.
Commissioner Couture,
I like option number 1. On option number 2, I like it. I wonder if we could do cortend around the,
He said we can't do it. It's not economical, it's really expensive, because he has to bend it.
or ten around the.
On the awning, you mean?
on the,
No, we can't.
Yeah, he said it's not beautiful.
I mean, we can, but it's gonna be expensive.
okay, well.
So are you a yes on 2?
Yeah, I'm a yes on 2. I'm a yes on 3 if the council will allow us to have it. On number 4, I think we should only do the top. And on design 5, I'm not a fan,
And this, design 5?
not a fan.
Option number 4, you had a comment on that one?
Option number 4, just the cortend on the top, not on the side. Sorry.
There's one thing I forgot.
Sorry?
One thing I forgot to mention. On the top, on the awning, right? What I can do if you want 410, and I have to do something because I measured the sides, it's not parallel. There's a difference of 1.5 inches from this height on this side to this height.
Okay,
Usually you don't see it.
yeah,
And probably the mosaic on top, you're not gonna see it, but I like to correct that. So what I can do, I can take a strip of 410 and put them at the bottom,
I like that idea.
and at the top, put that and cover that thing that goes on an angle, so that way they're parallel.
Got it,
You know, it's a technicality, you don't see it, but I would do that.
yes.
And that way you get a little touch of corset,
So it's like a border.
just up and
No,
bottom.
you won't see the difference if he does
No, no,
that.
but you'll see the corten.
Yeah, because she said she would like to have some corten on that. So I can do top and bottom, and the top will correct the problem that
Great.
is not visible, but it's there, so I like to correct that.
So applying a strip on the curve is something you can do.
Yeah, because it's just a flexible.
what I
top,
was
you know.
hoping.
I cannot do right angle or things that are tubing and all that
Yeah.
stuff unless
Got it.
machine shops get involved and they're expensive.
Thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Corrigan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I like number 2 and 5, modify for either leaves or bugs on the top. Number 1, the stairs, I'm indifferent, we could maybe make that optional, but not a recommendation, and then no on 3.
When you said, indifferent on 1,
The stairs, it's like, we could, if the council wants to add them, great, I wouldn't recommend it. But,
and that includes the sides as well as the risers?
yeah.
Okay, and you're indifferent on that, okay. Commissioner Moore?
You know, it started as a stair project.
I know.
And now it's my least favorite part of the project, to be totally honest. Yeah, so, and not because of your design work. I absolutely love your design work. I just really like the other elements you've incorporated now. I like them better. So, I would say design option 1. I mean, I'm not so opposed to it, but it's no longer my favorite.
So would you put yourself indifferent?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, leaning towards no, because I also am just kind of worried about,
Too much.
yeah, I have some concerns about it.
About,
I have some concerns about like sharp edges and just like durability and busyness and how it's gonna like tie in with the rest. And I kind of would like to see more of that color on the awning. And then, of course, if we're worried about having an equal experience with the ramp and the stairs, that will just completely eliminate that issue. Design option 2, I love, and I love the colors. I love it as it is, so. 3, I think the panels are a little busy for my taste, and then the stairs. So no on 3 for me. Yes on 2, no on 3. 4, so R4 just has it on top, so I would like to see something just on top, and I love Teresa's idea of creating, whimsical, porcelain pieces. Because not only handicapped individuals, but strollers also can use this
Yes.
ramp, so it'd be fun for kids, like if there's little like lizards or flowers, or, just something that kind of leads you in. Feels kind of, enchanting, you know? You know how enchanting City Hall is. Okay, and then 5, 5 was the leaves, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I would say no to 5, personally.
I heard no?
Yeah.
Okay. My opinions are, excuse me. I like the risers. I don't like the way it appears here because I was overly, I didn't like the tiling effect and I didn't like the repeating design, and I know that immediately I didn't like it. But if the, there was one question I forgot to ask you. The white in the drawing is concrete, right? You can see through to the concrete. Is there a way to paint the concrete so that it's not so stark between the Corten and the concrete?
Yes, there is, but that means maintenance. Because
Underneath the epoxy?
In time, in 5, 6 years, that color is gonna fade.
Underneath the epoxy,
Yes. It will.
with a north
And then you have
facing
to
wall,
go in and kind of, I don't know.
with a north facing wall, you think
Yes.
it's
it would
perpetually
fade.
in shade?
It would fade.
Okay.
No paint outside.
Because I painted my patio and it was 20 years. hasn't faded a bit.
If you want it, I'll do it.
And the only reason is
Welcome
because
for
the
5 years.
white in Core-10 to me clashes, the gray in Core-10 clashes. If it were even like a tan, I would be very much so. Anyways, I like one.
But we can put colors in there.
I like one. And, number 2, I love 2. I don't personally like the design here. I like the colorway though. I love the green colorways. To me, it looks like fish, and I don't mind fish, except fish don't apply here. So, I love the colorway of green. I love the tile. I love the method you're describing. I love the look of the awning. I think it's awesome. We just need to adjust the door color, which I do agree with David on that. And then 3, which is, it's way too much for me. I would accept 1 panel on each side to create the triptych with the awning, but, 6 panels, for one thing, 6 not a good number, so we don't wanna do that. It's just too much. I like the idea of maybe smaller scale, a single panel, a rectilinear panel, because it goes with the board and batten that's behind it. And it could depict something very beautiful in this same green colorway, highlighting some unique facet. Each one highlights a unique facet, so they're not identical panels. I could be sold on a 3 that only has 1 panel on each side, slightly smaller scale. Using the golden mean from the edge to the center to place, and the golden mean in height relative to the height of the roof there. And that would be really pleasing to the eye. So I could like 3, but minimize.
Yes, on 3, sure.
Yeah, with strong minimization. 1 panel on each and smaller. And then 4 was the ramp, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I like the idea of doing just the top to take the risk out of it with the other parts. I think that, it's a perfect place for ceramic elements, if you can make them smooth and not chippable. The Core-10 to me, I didn't like the way it looked, to be honest. To me, Core-10 is intended to be vertical. I don't really like it as a surface treatment, whether it's small or big, I don't like it. And then 5, I thought that was an interesting idea. I really like the integration of Core-10 to tie the risers to the awning. And and especially if we have the little strips on the awning, it just makes it even more. I absolutely, don't take this the wrong way, detest the spade leaves. They're not organic to our area. They don't belong. They remind me of ivy, which is highly invasive here. I wouldn't want to see anything remotely like that. I would probably ask for the scale to be slightly smaller, but the design element of mixing the porcelain with the Core-10 integrated into the design, I think is fantastic. So I would just, again, make the scale smaller, make the shapes that you do something still organic, but something that's native to this area. I like the botanical look versus, say, animals. I would prefer a botanical, but I might consider some animal elements in that if it's a big design. So on 5, it's like, for me, it's, the design would have to change, but the concept is wonderful.
So you started with a no, but you're saying
I
yes.
said, I don't like the spade leaves.
How about
So
8?
yes on 5. Yes on 5.
Yes,
with
on 5, but a
modifications.
completely different design
Okay.
and smaller scale. The idea of Core-10 integrated with tile to me is fantastic. But it's what we're implementing. I don't like that design. I think that design is asynchronous with the ecosystem it sits in. But I'm sure you can come up with a design. Apricot leaves aren't distinguishable enough. I might think of, well, we don't have to solve that problem now. I have a bunch of ideas on what kinds of topics you could put, in that kind of a design. So I hope that did you capture?
Mhm.
Okay.
May I circle back on something?
Hold on a second, I'm writing down my own thing, so Okay, go ahead.
I need clarification. So I thought that, now that I've heard everybody on the risers and the, front of the stairs, it's never been my favorite. So I thought that was a done deal. So I thought as of last meeting, there was a vote, it was taken, we're done with that conversation. So, right, so if it's not a done deal and that isn't the case, then I am not in love with number one. Okay? Yeah, sorry, I just thought this was not a conversation that was, I didn't
Well,
think it was
to the extent that this has been discussed with council.
Well, and I don't know
we are
that.
Thinking about this.
I don't know that, and that's a question I had, once everybody was saying no to indifferent. I would ask the Public Arts Commission is, if we take this to council, them think, did they see or hear the idea of risers, or
I
I
did
don't.
not say no, I said yes on one.
No, he's asking
a
No.
different question.
No, I'm just saying, if there's a majority that say the risers are out, I'm just asking a question, did the Public Art Commission mention to council that this was our project?
I don't talk to them, so I have no idea.
In my conversations with council members, they're often asking me, so how's that?
He's
step
asking
riser
a specific question about whether this was
I'm
brought to
asking them,
council.
I'm asking them, from the Public Arts Commission,
Okay,
I've never spoken to council ever.
that's fine.
Janet's going to.
So the liaison may have sent the message, I'm just curious, because, and not that it's out of the question, you could take what you want to it, and it's an art project. I'm just saying, does council have it in their mind already that, well, you guys were just talking about the risers, now that's not even an option?
So I'm told that the liaison checks are recordings. I'm told, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm told the liaison looks at our recordings, so if that's the case, then council may know about it, but I
I'm
don't know.
not saying
if
it's
you or not.
disqualifying, yeah, I'm not saying it's disqualifying, I'm just saying there's something to keep in mind, so. And that's all, we can look at that later, so, yeah, so right now.
Okay, so I wanna make sure, I've got this right. So you wanna change your vote to a no on the riser? Or are you
Well-
indifferent?
I've never
you're
been,
pro- you're pretty
I've
much
never been
deciding vote
indifferent.
here.
I've never been indifferent to it. I don't like the combination of these two. If we did something with the leaves, like a number 5, I think that ties that together more. But I've always thought that this was too busy for where we're going. So it's not necessarily the risers part of it, it's the side pieces, when you put those in, and then you have all this other stuff going on. I mean, I just think it's too much. So I was even, when the discussion was coming up, I thought, well, if we did the risers and then we had, something small on the end piece. So you've got the thing, you're going up and you have the first post. I don't know what else to call it, so I'm just gonna call it a post. If there was just one thing there that tied the top and the risers together, that would be like, what do you call those? Not finials, but yeah, kind of like a finial on the top of the step, but on the front. Just something that said, here we are, this is a interesting area. So, so instead of all of this, there'd be just a small piece that would work.
Well, that's a different discussion. I mean, for example, we're already seeing concrete, right? Because these are only the risers. People are still gonna
Yeah.
see concrete.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to say that we can't still do the risers. Here's what I believe. I believe that if you decorate the panels, somehow the sides, and you've got this beautiful awning, all this concrete is gonna look terrible. So what I'm thinking is, and I kind of wanted to propose this, was still do the risers, then the steps are concrete, so you still have that element. And then on the side rails, you don't do the interior. You do the face because that's your post. And then the top, we should echo what's on the ramp. Should be the ceramic pieces, kind of sporadically,
I agree, I would go with that.
So, to me, that makes the steps, cooperate with the way we designed the ramp.
Yeah.
and it doesn't overburden the whole facade with the brown compared to the green. So I'd be willing to do that. I just think that having a bunch of bare concrete there is gonna look terrible. It's gonna look unfinished.
I agree,
That's
that's why I
my
was
opinion.
presenting like a little medallion or something on there, so we're having this conversation, so, for staff, if number one, for me, it's not an absolute no, because that question was asked, if it's modified, if the risers have the corten, and then something else is done to the sides. And if the something else is something that the chair just recommended, that sounds like, for me, going the right direction.
But I have an answer, I think, for, Mr. Hernandez. I have an answer for Mr. Hernandez, if that makes sense. So I went back and I looked at the February 13th, 2024 presentation that the Park Commission gave to City Council, and this is not even on the top. Wasn't discussed.
Okay. What I do have for the commission, if it would help, is kind of, that's why I asked for a yes or no, and some of the comments on those things is kind of a layout of where the voting went for this a la carte. So we have two items, item number 2 and item number 4, that went 6-0. Everybody, all 6 members that are present, liked them. There were some comments on that I'm sure on both of those, but I just want you to know, everybody liked those things. That was a yes. I'm hoping to drill down a little bit here.
2 and 4.
2 and 4,
Thank you.
6-0. Number
That's the
5,
awning and the
Yes.
ramp.
yes. Yeah, so the ramp being the modified version. of it.
Right, modified.
Modified version, not what was in your packet, okay? Number 5, I'll go into number 5. That was a new one that was not in your packet. Number 5 went 3 to 2 to 1. 3 yeses, 2 nos, and 1 yes with, possible modifications. That was you, yes. And there were some others that I think probably would have had the same statement as far as modifications, but I just want to say that's the voting that we got. So that's number 5. Number 1 was kind of a split. I had 2 yeses, 2 nos, 2 indifferents. Okay, so I don't know where that discussion can go. And number 3, I had 2 yeses and 4 nos.
2 yes. 4 no. That's number 3?
That's number 3, yeah.
No, I'm sorry, that's number what?
3.
That's the whole shebang as rendered. 2 yeses, 4 nos.
So I mean, if we want to get through, and mind you, we do have quite a few other heavy topics in this meeting. So if we want to drill down a little bit, number 2 and number 4, I think we can put aside that is accepted by the commission on an eventual motion that we'll touch. Chair, I don't know how you want to handle the other items.
I think, number, what we're calling number 3, the awning, the full risers, and the 3 big panels. I think 3 big panels, everybody would agree, or most of us would agree, we don't like 3 big panels on either side. So let's drop that from consideration. In other words, we can't just divide along the options. There's elements in the options that are turning us off. In that particular case, I think most of the commissioners agree that the 3 panels, big panels on either side, are turning us off. That doesn't mean we don't all hate risers and we don't all hate the awning. We actually like them, with the risers possibly being modified from what's rendered here strongly. So I'm sorry, it doesn't fit the matrix perfectly. So I would say that 3 is not liked. But-
Well, if I may, 3, we're talking about the panels on the side, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's think about just the panels on the side. That's what 3 is. And I don't think 3 and 5 could exist in the same place. So, to get to the point, or to make it easier, should I say, I think the commission should discuss 3 or 5 or 0, none of them, neither of them. And I think nothing, no option.
Nothing on the wall.
Because the walls are what 3 and 5 represent. That's all I'm saying. So you cannot have 3 and 5. You can't say yes to both. Okay? So if the commission can decide 3 or 5, or you know what, we don't want anything on the walls, that's your third thing, option to fix this part. Okay, so we'll knock out 2 of those options right now if you discuss that.
Perfect. And then did I, if I may hear this correctly, for number 5, we had 2 yeses,
3 yeses,
3 yeses.
2 noes, and 1.
I was a yes, but with modifications.
And I was a
Did you
yes
guys say
with it
yes?
modified a
When you guys
bit.
say yes, are you saying you like the spade leaves?
I said no.
I don't think, yeah, she said.
Well, the 3 people that said yes on 5, who were they?
I was
Janet,
No.
and so you like those leaves?
I think I look at it at a higher level, and to your point, right? I like the idea of having pieces, a single piece on either side, maybe smaller, whatever. I mean, you can play with all of that.
Okay.
But from a conceptual level at a higher level, step it up, right? That works for me.
The reason I'm asking this question is because, Director Hernandez has taken 3 yeses and then put me in a different category as, yes, but with a condition.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm very different unless I
We
hear
both
somebody.
said modified.
Yeah, you both said modified. You like the design as is? Okay, so there's really
That
one
size
yes
even.
that
Well,
is-
no. And let me just tell you the reason I put you in that different category is you start off with a no. You despised it. You said, I
I
think.
don't like those leaves.
Okay, and that's it. So then,
The
that's why I
no
had you in.
modified- The
And
no,
that's why I put you, so I can put you in the yes with modifications, if
Okay.
that pleases you.
yeah,
So we have
That'd be good.
4 yes.
Yes, so 4 yes with modifications and 2 no.
well, yeah, it's,
Okay.
you actually like the design, so you're.
I like them as is, but if you
Yeah,
want.
so
to-
it's one,
If you
like
want to make
this.
them smaller, that's fine, but I like leaves, just.
so one as is, the slight scale.
Well, it's 4. 4 yeses, 2 no's. 2 people said no.
Would your yes turn to no if the design was different?
If it weren't leaves?
No, if it weren't those leaves.
No, as long as it's leaves, I like the leaves, and the artist had said he might make them smaller, which is fine. It's-
Or of a different genus?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I think in all cases, you have consensus that
Number 5 is.
number 5 is a good thing, but we need to work on it a little bit.
Just like number 4, that's fine. All right, so we can get, now that eliminates number 3. So the last question to be answered is number 1. What are we doing with number 1?
I'm all in on the risers, but with modifications, as I proposed. Which is do the risers, do ceramic pieces a la the ramp on the tops, and only do the front face of the vertical, do not do the interiors, not do the outside, that's not being proposed. And do not do the interiors. So now you balanced more between Corten and concrete, and I do not want to lose the risers. That's me, that's my opinion. I think they give ground to the organic stuff we're gonna have on top. They are our ground.
Where are we on risers? Again, sorry. Where did we go? We
I
had,
think if anybody wants to make a motion, they're
yeah, 3
they're welcome, just
yeses,
include number 2,
2
4,
no's,
and
and
5.
1 in. Okay.
Yes, 2 no's and 2 indifferent.
Okay, so for
I would-
me, the risers, so I'm looking at this as à la carte. So this is gonna go to the city council, and city council is gonna say, yes, but.
No.
Or,
We're gonna make a recommendation.
no, I know, it's not going today, but I'm saying eventually this is going to city council. And so if they say, what did the commissioners prefer? So what were their top choices, rank order maybe, I don't know if we need to be doing that. I would say, I would like to see the risers, and that's, I'm calling it the railing area there, modified in a way that ties it in better to the rest of it. I'm okay losing it, totally losing it, although I do think that it's gonna look a little bare naked when you look at the rest of the building.
Yeah.
But your eye is gonna draw up, and so you're not gonna focus on the stairs anyway. So if we did something that was a little whimsical, like we're suggesting on the ramp tops, then I think we might be doing something. So for the 14K, if we're gonna get rid of something, 14K, I would be looking at risers and stair railing either I'd like to see something done there with modifications, or if we have to get rid of something, that's where I would go, no.
I think what we're proposing there would probably lower the price, right? It's substantially less amount, a smaller amount of court.
So,
time.
so can we keep on the concept, before we go into price? and starting to- Yeah, that's everyone, please, if we can get the idea on the table, then we can talk about price later on and how we're gonna modify. Really, I think what staff is looking for, so we can put something together with Adrian, is on number one, do we want to put this style of artwork, it doesn't have to be panel for panel, tile for tile. Do we wanna put this on the risers as was a form proposed? That's all we're asking.
So what were the top ones again? 2, 5,
The top ones are 2, 4, and 5.
2, 4, and 5?
2, 4, and 5.
I mean, I feel like we should vote, just like we vote for
Yeah.
our call for art. I think
That's why I'm saying, right now, at this
That's the way to
point,
do it.
somebody can put a motion forward,
Yeah.
include one or not. That's up to you.
I would like to move, and then, I think that, I don't believe that we have people that, is there anybody here that completely hates the risers? Does not conceive of having risers on the cement?
Chair, if you want to just put a motion forward, you'll.
Yeah, I wanted to get a gauge of the room, it's like a straw poll.
No, please, put a motion forward.
Okay, so I'd like to move that for option number 1, I would like to move that our decision today would be to put the Corten on the face of the risers, put ceramic pieces on the top of the rails, and put Corten only on the face of the front of the rails. And that's it. And so nothing on the interiors, and no Corten on the top. That is my motion for number 1.
Chair, can we do this? Can we put a motion on the options only without direct modifications? Once we get those options in, we can make those direct modifications with the artist.
I thought you asked me to make a motion on 1. Okay.
No, I want to make a motion, that's all I asked for.
On the
Entire thing. Okay,
Yes,
I would move, then, in that case, I would move that option 1, option 2, option 4, and option 5, be moved to further consideration on design.
I'll second that motion.
Second. Questions?
Any
Okay.
questions?
Please.
Mr.
Call,
Morris?
call.
We,
Oh, you have a
yeah,
question?
they're gonna be.
I'm at that place where I'm like, so we're gonna do this, we're gonna have a discussion about those 4 things at some point. We're not
We're
deciding.
gonna make
Absolutely doing
Move
this.
this forward for
Yes.
consideration.
This is not going to council after we leave this.
No, I know
Yeah.
that. Okay, I'm totally clear on that. My problem is that if we have to dump something with council, if they're like, blah, 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 then 1 is where I wanna go, no.
Yeah, we're not near that
Okay,
decision.
that's fine. Okay, fine, my questions are out.
Okay. Call.
We're gonna start with Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Commissioner Kosher,
No.
Vice Chair Corrigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
and Chair Valadez.
Yes,
Passes 5 to 1.
5-2.
5 to 1.
Thank you.
Okay, so staff will work with the artists on those options, and putting that together. I think from the recording, Adrian, we can get a lot of information on what was spoken here about putting those things together. So the next time you come to the commission meeting, you will have samples for them to modify and make. Okay, does everybody feel comfortable with that? Once again, we were recording everything, so you can hear all of your comments on what was preferred, and he will bring that back one more time. Sound good?
Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you, Adrian, very much.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
And I
You can
would
leave some.
suggest we all go look at that very clearly and in depth to get it.
Photo document it too, yeah.
Thank you, Adrian.
The next meeting.
Most likely it'll be November, yes.
Okay, so if I have any questions, I can ask, you.
Me, you're gonna talk to me, yeah. You're gonna talk to me.
And if you have questions for any of us, just send them to him and he'll.
Yeah.
forward them to-
Okay.
So,
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is great.
Next item.
please.
I'll show you the ceramics I have on my clinker brick.
They just
I
have
have posts at home that have clinker brick bases
Please, people.
and embedded tiles in them that are exactly what we should be doing.
Okay, we have to move on to 2.
Okay, item number
3, sorry.
3, community garden presentation.
Come on up,
Do we
Quinley.
have a staff report?
No, we have a presentation from Quinley, McCarroll. So come on up to the front and we'll show the presentation.
Okay, you got
That's okay.
Real quick, I just realized something. Can you ask Adrian to send us a picture of mine?
Hi, I just want, I'm Quinley McCarroll. Thank you for putting me on the agenda.
Can you talk a little bit
Oh,
louder?
yeah, okay,
She
yeah, of course.
forgot to bring her hearing aids.
And plus the camera, so just use your outside voice.
Hi, I'm Quinley McCarroll. Thank you so much for putting me on the agenda. Our objective, or I guess consideration of today is putting a community garden or green space here outside the community center for the FY '26 budget.
I got it going. You can just motion.
So I think the whole reason that I've ended up on the agenda in the first place is that this council realizes that forward-thinking cities are activating community through developed outdoor spaces. For example, Gamble Gardens in Palo Alto has created a community gathering point around simple structures and paths. Or in Holbrook Palmer Park in Atherton, the council has created a large green space for various gatherings and people to just go out and enjoy nature. Or in Devendorf Park in Carmel, where they've activated community green space right outside their community center. This council has done an amazing job in creating parks and outdoor spaces for families. Shoup, Grant, and Heritage Oaks are wonderful spaces for families to go outside and enjoy just outdoor spaces in general. But you've also done an amazing job on indoor spaces with the community center and the proposed theater will create amazing places for people to gather and collaborate indoors. This council's goal is to create the best experience for its residents through parks and arts. So here's the general idea of what we're proposing. A landscaped garden with concrete planters, art interspersed with greenery, and leveraging the existing infrastructure we have outside this community center. This is just to clarify sort of what we're talking about. Outside we have this dirt field, that area right here, and we could activate the space to create a new and better version of what it is right now, a new kind of park. This would be, oh God.
Take your time.
You're doing an awesome job.
You're doing a great job.
I'm riveted. Keep going.
Just take your time.
When this community center was first designed, it was created in order to allow for both indoor and outdoor community spaces and gathering. The indoor has been nailed. We have a wonderful center. But this community garden or greenscape would create an outdoor space where people could gather, all residents of all ages. But we also have the existing infrastructure here. With the landscaping already inputted in the center itself, we have irrigation and a team already maintaining the property. And it would also be kind to the neighbors. Before, there was a proposed basketball court and pickleball court for this area, and while we had the grants, the neighbors around the area didn't want those to come to fruition because they'd be noisy and disruptive. However, a greenscape or garden like this creates an amazing but quiet experience that even the neighbors can enjoy of all ages. But this isn't just a park. Wave benches, I realize that isn't the accurate picture. We have wave benches already, courtesy of Manny, and Adrian Littman, who was just in here, has also offered to add some art into the park after he, heard the idea and thought it was one worth, going through with. But why now? This could be 27, your FY 27 or 28, right? Well, we have park and lieu funds for this center that will eventually expire. Private sector pledge funds, as I spoke about last week, from the Realty Company, a software company, and a couple of other private individuals. And the FY budget for 26 is about to close. We have this meeting in November, and then and the budget needs to go to council. So what do you say? With your permission, we can put this on the budget for the FY 26 and ask our donors to remain committed into 2025 to create a new and creative experience for all the residents of Los Altos.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we'll, give the commissioners an opportunity. You can come forward. You're a little bit closer to us, to take some questions from us, if you'd like.
Wherever you're comfortable.
If you wanna stay there, you can, it's all good.
And it'd just be nice to get her on camera, right?
I tried to angle it so the podium actually should be on camera.
Okay, great. Can you see yourself in that little picture there? There you go.
She's good, she's good. Go ahead.
Okay, any questions?
Question, do you have a design concept in mind and a budget? Or are you just looking for kind of generic support?
This is,
Yes, if I could help you a little bit on that one. She did already propose a design concept, so staff is in, it's a general design for a garden right now. But actually, we've had some meetings already and there may be some modifications, which would also change the budget. This previously, I think I had mentioned this to the commission before, it was previously budgeted for a community garden. The concept has kind of changed, so the budget would change on that. But yes, there is some initial designs, but it's really just an initial phase.
Thank you.
So I have a question on community garden. Are you talking about a gamble garden proposal, or are you talking about where everybody comes and does their vegetables and their fruits?
this would be more of a gamble garden approach.
Ah,
So like
thank you.
a tailored green screen,
So more like an English garden type of
Yeah.
paths and, deciduous trees and maybe some conifers and,
She's a gardener.
perennials and annuals, et cetera.
Yeah, it would be much more for like walking through.
Got it. Because when you say community garden, I think you're talking about vegetables.
Yeah, really.
Okay, got it. More like a gamble garden.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which is a garden too, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. You mentioned that the benches, the wave benches, which I think are so cool. Was Adrian gonna donate them? Cause you said there was no cost to the city, so I just wanted to understand that.
Adrian, I think you spoke to Adrian, you could speak to Adrian, but I'll speak to the benches. We have some wave benches that were donated from an artist downtown that were in front of the sushi place and something else, yeah.
Remember the
So
virtual?
those wave benches, we are in possession of them, and if we do activate a community garden, we'll be able to use them in there at this point. I'm not sure if the artist wants them back to use them for something else, but that's where they are. As far as Adrian goes.
After last month's meeting, he came out and spoke to me about how much he enjoyed the idea of the garden, and he wanted to put one of the pieces he has into the garden.
The wave benches?
No, the wave benches are, already belong to the city. Adrian has his own piece that he wants to put in.
To donate?
Yes.
Nice. Loan or like give to the city?
Have you seen it, Manny? Do you know?
Oh, no.
The note said, the caption on the thing said, give it free of cost.
Yeah, no cost to the city, but was that a picture of the piece that?
No.
Those are examples of the piece. He hasn't given me a specific picture. I'm sorry, I should have made that clear.
Yeah, thank you. You did a great job, and I think it's a great idea.
You don't hear questions? Questions?
Yeah. When this all started, I thought you wanted a vegetable garden, a community garden that was vegetables.
So,
We moved her away.
I understand it, I'm asking her.
So with the past couple meetings, the idea sort of shifted sort of beyond that, to create a space that's more for everyone to enjoy, the outdoors and the beauty of nature without it just being, you know, a bunch of little kids running around. So it's, yes, separate from that. It's no longer that, the vegetable garden.
Okay, and how do you feel about it morphing away from your vegetable garden idea, community garden, into basically what's a park?
I actually really enjoy the idea because I think it's opening up a whole new way of, like, a whole new almost type of park where it's not just a place for families to congregate or an indoor space for people to gather. It's a place where everyone can sort of enjoy this tailored but really beautiful part of nature. That's sort of something we don't really have up in, like, something we've seen other people have do. And it's sort of be a new experience for LaSallians.
And how would this differ from our other parks in your mind? So how are you envisioning this so that it's different? Because we have parks that have green space, have trees, have plants, have flowers, have sculptures. So what about this is so different?
The main difference here is that the focus would be sort of is the tailored greenscape and the trees and all of that comes together, sort of more like the Gamble Gardens, where it's a gathering space and a place where people just enjoy the flowers. Whereas a lot of the other parks, which are wonderful for families and large events, it's much more about just being outside, you know, for kids can run around, or even Lincoln Park where you have the grass and the trees. This would be much sort of more full landscaping, much more about the flowers and sort of enjoying.
More formal.
Yeah, more formal and tailored.
Okay, so Gamble Gardens and a lot of the other formal gardens require a lot of money to maintain. And they require a committee often to keep those going. So they're always doing fundraising. They're always, because I know I've gone to fundraisers at Gamble Garden. So they're constantly needing to infuse money, and they have committees of people who maintain those gardens. So for outside here, if we're gonna have staff doing it, it's sort of like our public planting areas that we used to have that were just spectacular. And now, you know, it takes people to maintain them. So I think my question is, for Director Hernandez, is can we actually maintain a formal garden setting in our city?
She is working with staff right now to find the solution for that.
Okay.
With the staffing we have now, depending on what the plantings are, it would be a challenge for staff, to maintain it in some of the samples that, she's given in other agencies. But you're right, there is committees involved, there's gonna be volunteers involved, there's gonna be, local organizations involved, and we've had that discussion, with the possibility, and I think it's a very fruitful one, of, local, clubs and otherwise to get involved with maintaining the garden.
And do we have any of them committed at this point?
No.
Has anybody been, okay,
Not just fun, we're looking to get some kind, once again, this is not an approval process, this is just gonna be a recommendation that, that this proposal is looking for. And then we'll take the next step, if there is a next step, but we wanted to see the community's interest, this commission representing that part of the community at this point.
okay. So, and I really appreciate you being here. It's impressive, you know, that you were able to stand and do that presentation. It's a lot of information. I'm still wondering if we can incorporate somehow some of the community garden idea, like, some cities will do the raised planters, the cement ones, or if we do metal or whatever, and they'll do little surprises, like little tomato plants or something like that. So, so that you actually are bringing in that element of food and, flowers and that sort of thing. So those are all my questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Young?
No questions. Thank you.
I have a few questions and comments. Thank you. Awesome. Did you do all those graphics yourself? Pretty awesome. It's a very nice arrangement in the presentation to be very visual. So whatever resources you use to get that, well done. I like that you have moved away from vegetable gardens to a community garden aspect. Here are some of my preferences that I will tell you.
Commissioner, can we, questions, please, and the preferences can be discussed with the commission. That's all I want.
I wanna ask let me ask, put them in a form of question. In terms of your current mindset, what you're thinking, and you're highly influenced by the Gamble Garden and other gardens that you've seen. Are you thinking about any kind of, environment that you're trying to build, like more focused on decorative, like an English garden, that not only requires maintenance, but requires water and things, or something more sustainable? Is sustainability part of your thinking?
Yeah, so I believe it was the second garden that was a little bit more simplistic, is a little bit more open. That's more towards what this is geared, but it's also this is really just looking for approval directly for the project. Those are all things we could take into consideration once this sort of goes forward. But generally, I think it's something that's a little bit lower maintenance than something, say, Gamble Gardens. Gamble Gardens is just sort of the idea, sort of we're basing this off of, the idea of the community gathering space and the tailored greens. But we can make it our own and make it sort of adapt it to what this council has to offer.
And would you characterize the kinds of, the thing I notice when I go to the Gamble Garden is, while it is a large garden, it's a big space. This is not that big of a space. There's still a sense of intimacy. You follow me, that you're not at Lincoln Park, or you're not at Grant Park, or you're not at Hillview. The utilitarian nature, you know, whether it's sports or picnics or if concerts, that's what those parks are for. Are you envisioning something more intimate, or do you actually see some functional thing that will happen at this park, like events or dinners or picnics? Or, you know, what is your thinking on that?
Well, I think that would be up to the way we design our garden. If we give it more open space and if we give it more of a functional purpose, it can be that. But it really depends on what this council decides is the best version of that. And I know that will come with a lot of discussion. The way I imagine is a more of an intimate setting, a little bit more like closed and tight, so it's more about the plants and sort of being in that tailored experience, but it's also very open to other suggestions.
And my last question has to do with, in terms of your motivation to do this, are you aligned with any other youth groups, like clubs or scouts or anything that, where they were showing interest in being volunteers for this initiative, or is this really your brainchild and you really had this strong initiative just because of you?
So basically, I talked to a couple of students in my grade at one point who were interested. I talked to a group of students in my grade at one point who were interested in working with the garden. That was, of course, when this first came about 2 years ago now. So I'm sure things have changed, similar with the investors. But at the moment, I'm not in contact with any group or anything like that that's interested. But there are groups that I have talked with who are possibly interested, just not of recent.
Okay. You mentioned realty. Those are, you had them up as one of your funders, right?
Yes.
Is that one realtor or a series of realtors?
There's one realtor, tech, and then a series of private.
So are your funders, whether, they're all private, right? Realty and individuals, I imagine. Are your funders are they telling you what they'd like to see, or are they pretty much leaving it up to you in terms of the vision you're trying to express here?
So I can speak at least for the realty and tech companies, who they have a 1% or 2% for schools or for good policies, and that's where they're just saying, we just donate some of our profits. As for the privates, they just said they'd be interested in funding. They never gave any specifics. I can't contact them if that's helpful.
Okay. I'm trying to understand the degrees of freedom here, you know, in terms of which direction we go. Sometimes your funders can be very specific. I want this. And then that constrains our ability to, you know, come up with ideas and stuff. Okay, that sums up my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Finley.
Thank you. Great job.
You can
Really
stay
great
and
job.
watch the rest of the discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Shall we?
I don't know if we need much discussion, but I think we should just go ahead and make the motion and move to support it. Since she's already working with staff and I don't see if there's a big need for discussion.
I had one question, if possible, to staff. You are working with her to formulate things. How does the commission give input in this process?
Well, what's gonna happen is if the commission sees fit and there's a motion to take it to the next step, you recommend that use of that space that was put on the map as the community garden that was proposed, in that concept. Then staff will work on getting that included in the 25-26 budget, as was said in the presentation. And then we'll go from there. So nothing's planned out yet, nothing's even funded after we walk away from this meeting. It's just a matter of it weighs more once I take the budget, once staff takes the budget to recommendation for council. If they see that, we're gonna have a recommendation from this commission saying, yes, this is a great use of that space over there. We recommend it. That's all that is. Once again, reverberating the duty of this commission as an advisory commission to council. So
To
it
the extent that we're advising on the
you're-
scope and scale and design of the thing, there will be a process for that after we make a motion today.
Yeah, and staff will follow through with what's, with the proposal as was presented here. Once again, just like the artwork, council may, oh, we don't like this, we don't like that. They can always do that, because they'll make the final decision on those things. But once again, we're several steps away at this point. So right now, we're looking for backing from the commission and a recommendation to go in front of council. When the budget goes, once it's put into the budget, then that's just the money that's earmarked for the budget. We still have to design it and everything and take that to council for design. And then once designed, then construction. So there's still a lot of approvals and a long process. Yes.
I have a comment.
Is there any other comments or questions?
My comment is, I love the idea of a restorative garden that's close to the dog park, that's close to the library, that's close to the community center, that's within walking distance of all the downtown apartments and condos, so I like it a lot.
Would somebody be willing to put a motion on the floor so that we could go to questions and then actually have a discussion on that motion?
I'll move to support this idea of having a restorative garden, putting in that space.
Second.
Seconded.
Janet?
Discussion? Anybody? You've already made your
I
comment.
made my thing.
Any other comments, comments?
I do, but would you wanna go? Do you have
You know,
anything?
I forget the number of condos and so on that have been built and are in the process of being built, and there is no space for them. You know, so this is.
Well, there's Lincoln Park, but it's a different kind of park. It's a sit on the lawn and look at trees. It's not walk through a path and, you know, gardens are very restorative for people.
I think, I like the idea of having, a more completed landscape out on that side. I think we've needed it. I do feel strongly that I would like to see it be a more public, process, where we have the public involved more about what they would like over there. I do understand about the noise, you know, because been through this from the beginning of the community center, and I think we get it. People don't want noise near their house. So I know we probably can't put some sort of playground in there, but I do wish that we would have a more public process for deciding what we're going to do with a large swath of our community center. I am wondering if that would be the whole side of the community center. Is that what we're talking about?
Once again, this is just, the concept and the idea of this garden as proposed is all you're recommending. Nothing is being approved, no parameters are being set right now.
But in terms of the question.
I can't tell you if it's gonna go all the way to the Neutra House, I can't tell you if it's gonna go halfway there. That process is still a public process, this commission will see that as it goes through. That is part of the public process, it'll go to council, that is part of the public process. The public will have several steps along the way. Okay?
Okay, for me, I have a technical question. I know we have some swale functions throughout the community center area. Is there a swale that goes through there, a drainage swale?
Not through the area that was highlighted.
Not through the area?
Not through the area that was highlighted, no,
Got it,
not there. There's redwoods and a flat space, swales are on either side of it.
Right, so, I think that we have an opportunity with this kind of a garden to make it very different from all of our parks or even parts of our parks. I really like the idea of, okay, philosophically, I love vegetable gardens and I wish that Los Altos had a community garden. But to really make a good community vegetable or food garden, in my experience, it's gotta be a lot bigger than that space because you've gotta be able to tolerate critters and, you know, droppings and, you know, disease sometimes, and you have to be able to till the land under and let it lie fallow and all these things, because we don't want to use too much fertilizer. And if you don't want to do all that, I mean, in terms of critters, if you want to have a small garden, you have to enclose it. And I think that some of our neighbors might not like that, closing it in either greenhouse or mesh. And then the act of having ground lie fallow it's not big enough to have phased areas where you can let one fallow and the other cover the space and then let that one lie fallow. So to me, a functioning food garden, it also begs the question of, you know, what do you do with the food and who gets to tend and do people have shares of it? I mean, there are a lot of complexities with food gardens, and I'm a huge fan of them. It's just, I'm not sure that space is a good spot for one. So that's why my mind was thinking going more towards either a demonstration garden where you have zones where you actually educate the community to plant in different ways, everything from maybe a succulent garden to a flower garden, but a drought tolerant flower garden, and then something in between focused on natives. So there's that idea in terms of functionality. I love the intimacy idea because that is something none of our other parks have. So I'm very much in favor of permeable pathing. Everything should be permeable, very little hardscape. And if there is some hardscape, it itself is permeable. Pathing is nice so that there's interest, places to sit, places to contemplate. I think it provides a perfect counterbalance to the nature of most of our other parks. I think Redwood Grove has a potential to be like that, but you know, it's just not right now. This is close in the city. Everybody can go to it. It's beautiful to see. As to the public process, I hear what Commissioner Morris is saying. I want to ask you the question though. When you say public process, you mean beyond the commission?
Yes.
Because we are members of the public, but you
Yes.
mean beyond the commission?
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure that I cleared it. I think in terms of that, it's always helpful to go beyond the commission to do outreach, but it doesn't always guarantee acceptability. Look at all the outreach we went through with the dog park, tons of outreach, and then at the end, it still got highly criticized, and there was a lot of misunderstanding about taxpayer money, and people didn't know what parks and lieu funds were and all this. So I'm in favor of public outreach. I love it. I just don't necessarily think having so many cooks in the kitchen may help us make this happen fast. But I do believe in public outreach, and if there's some way we can come up with something that's bound and maybe present 2 or 3 options, not let an open design exist. I think if we can come up with something concrete to present to the public, that might be more efficient, because otherwise we could end up with another 4-year process and then end up with complaints anyways. So I hope that there's something that we can do. I like your idea. It's a matter of how do we approach it. I think it's also important to keep the certain organizations that are focused on sustainability very involved in the process, especially the youth. So the green team from the high school and and some of the elementary schools, I hear they have green committees now. Keep them involved so that we can have this place be something that even the youth feel a stake in having in their city. It's also right next to the kindergarten, structure, right? How far away? Isn't it immediately adjacent to the kindergarten structure?
Across the pathway, depending on
So
exactly.
there's
where it's
pathway in
located.
between? Okay, so there will be kids there, be an opportunity for babies and young kids to walk through there, so it has to be safe for them as well. There's no proposal to fence it, right? Is there?
Once again, there's no proposal and the details have not come out yet. It's just, we're looking at the concept of the garden as it was proposed in that space.
So anyways, I'm highly in favor of this. I would not be in favor if it was a vegetable garden, given what I said. Somebody like to,
We have a motion.
There's a motion on the floor. If there's any other comments, if that, we can close it.
No.
Okay,
call the question?
call roll.
Okay, Commissioner Moore,
Yes. I forgot what the
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Morris? No.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
and Chair Valdez. Okay, that passes 5-1.
All right, thank you.
You seconded, right? You seconded, right?
Yes.
Thanks. Right.
Plan for next
Now
year.
the work plan.
Looks great to me.
Commissioner Young, are you?
No changes.
I move.
I move.
Chair, are we ready? Okay, all right, so staff, I'll go ahead and introduce this item. Annually, each commission shall discuss and decide and prepare its annual work plan, which will be shared with the council at your joint meeting. Joint meetings last year, I don't have the joint meeting scheduled yet, from the city manager, but they met last year in February, I believe, just February, but you will have a joint meeting just in the same format, we think in the same format as last year, where you will share, they will actually have a copy of your work plan. So this year, it's 12-month period, starting in January, just as a reminder to everyone. And, what you have in your packet is last year's work plan. So what I recommend, what staff is recommending for this commission to do is go through last year's work plan, maybe mark off the things that were accomplished, get those off the work plan, and either we can modify this work plan for this upcoming year going forward with any additions that this commission may want to add to the work plan for 25. Couple of things to keep in mind. We have a few meetings before this has to be approved. We're not asking for approval today. We want to get the ideas down. Staff will then record these ideas, come back with a modified work or a first draft work plan for 2025 at the next meeting. At that meeting, staff would recommend that you can pass it if everything looks close with some minor modifications, or it can be actually continued in the discussion for more modifications into January. However, January is the deadline to make the work plan official, to vote on it. So the work plan has to be done by January. You have till November's meeting to do it, or you can take it into January if November's meeting calls for it.
It must be approved.
It must be approved at the January meeting at the latest. November is fine to approve it as well, okay? So one thing that before you start discussion on the work plan, and then I'll go ahead and let you all discuss it. Please remember the council's desire is for the work plan is a 12-month plan. So please put items on there that this commission believes they can accomplish in the 12-month period. And if it's projects that are longer than that, go ahead and put a portion of that project that can be completed in 12 months. So I think that's something to keep in mind when you're putting, these items on there, is things that you can accomplish in a 12-month period. So Just wanted to remind you.
Months are
Those 12 months are a calendar month, starting in January.
in December.
Yes.
And do we have council priorities?
Council priorities are not, they're usually done at the retreat. I don't have them for the new year yet. But you can go off of the council priorities from last year to see where they are. And once again, that leads into the ideas for the commission now are just ideas to get down. And what you can do is look at council priorities. If there hasn't been any preparation for that, which I imagine there probably wasn't, but between now and the November meeting, this commission can look into that and see where those things match up. Once again, you can go into your, commission handbook to think of, to look at some other direction from council that's in there. So, outside of that, this, what you have in your hand is 2024 work plan. I will now hand it over to the commission and the chair to lead up the discussion in making the modifications that we can bring a first draft to.
I have one question. Do we have within our purview the ability, say, from this meeting to the November meeting, to establish a subcommittee to focus on a particular area that might come up, on, some particular area of expertise that might come up that we might want to have somebody work on between now and then to refine the
An ad
goal?
hoc committee, you would have to create an ad hoc committee now. You'd have to create an ad hoc committee now. They'd have to meet outside of this commission between now and the November meeting, have a report ready to present, whatever
I
findings.
just want to know,
If the commission decides.
let everybody know if helps us refine a goal, it might not be a bad idea to take advantage of that. And we can set up more than one such ad hoc committee, correct?
What you have now, yeah, probably. Up to three.
All right, okay. So, we probably should just go top to bottom, start at the top. And we need to take status now too, right, in terms of the past year?
That's what I'm saying. That's why this 24 work plan is in front of you. So let me reiterate again, the 24 work plan is in front of you. Please go ahead and I think the first thing this commission should do is check off the accomplishments or things that you are not gonna complete if it hasn't been completed and there's no interest in completing it in 2025. If there is interest in continuing it through 2025, you can leave it on there. But really, you wanna get the things that you've accomplished off of here. If they're ongoing, then just leave them. There you go.
Actually, who wants to start us off?
I can start. I can share Valdez. Would you like me to start?
Yeah.
So, looking at the first, deliverable, we did that, everyone is an artist, that's done. We probably need a new one for next year, but that could be TBD, I think.
Yes. So we'll think about what we wanted to say.
Exactly. The partnership grant program call for art, I'm not exactly sure what that was.
Well, what that was is that staff has a process to call for art. And that's been, we didn't really have a process we did, but staff didn't know about it because Monica was doing it. Now staff knows about it, so I think we've done that. And
Yeah,
we're just
that's
gonna
done.
continue doing it.
Okay, the call for art, and this one, it's worded partnership grant program. What is that? I don't know what that is. I know what the call for art is. We've done it a few times.
The cool new tool, which was great.
But the
I
park,
don't know why it says partnership grant.
yeah,
What was the intent there?
I think that must be an error. I think it was probably call for art,
Yeah.
develop a process and program, and which has been done.
Yeah,
call for art develops.
except for we have to do it again because we're gonna
it-
need more
it's-
art.
The PR outreach, the brochure and commission program signage, that's not gonna get done. But I think the brochure part is kind of in process.
Mostly because we don't know if some of the sculptures that are on loan that have expired, if those artists are picking them up or not, so we didn't wanna do the brochure again until we knew what was going on with that.
Right, so that'll continue into
That's
next
gonna
year.
continue to 2025.
And then the farmer's
And in
market.
terms of status, you've got a framework. In terms
We
of
have a
groundwork.
brochure
So
done.
we have a brochure and we also have signage.
Okay,
Yeah, so it just has to be updated.
let's make sure we take credit for having done that work.
Well, except that the brochure and the signage were done by the Public Arts Commission, not this commission. I mean, if you want, I guess we could say.
So for 2024, when did the merger happen?
2024? Well, we didn't, no, 2024.
No, the merger technically happened in 2023, and 2024 was your first full year. This is your first full year. that you
July
worked-
was our first special meeting.
Special meeting.
August was our first regular meeting of
Yes.
the whole
So
commission.
the brochure and signage was done in 2023?
Before the merger.
Yeah, so it was before that.
Okay, so no progress was made on this in this year then?
I don't think so. I don't think nothing that I think we could say is progress.
Okay.
We'll continue that.
And I think that's the same thing for the sculpture walking tour map and brochure. That's kind of the same thing, the brochure. The call for public art without walls, that has continued and that's been very successful, I think.
You skipped over the park representation at city and community special events.
Yeah, oh,
We did all.
You're just addressing the arts ones, right?
we're all, I was just walking down through them, but yeah, I can do whatever you want.
You wanna go step by step, and we can.
I don't know if we were at
She
farmers,
was, she started doing
I
step
don't
by
know if we were at farmers market, but we were at concerts and we were at family fun
Yeah,
days.
a farmer's market, I mean, I don't know.
We just didn't get invited to the farmer's market. They didn't ask for help, so we didn't.
I went, but that was just me, myself, and
I mean, I
I.
think that's all work that will continue, and I think
Yeah.
Commissioner Morris is right.
So, did we have a presence at any farmer's market?
We weren't invited.
So once again, there's no invite to it. If the commission wishes to go, they tell staff. Staff has to tell the organization doing it. And we've done this before, and I'm not sure if you were involved in those, but that's every August.
Well, art we did,
Yeah. and-
art we did.
Yeah, so
We
let
were
me,
always invited.
Yeah.
So we always
Oh.
were asked to attend the farmer's market on certain dates to help staff, handle the booth.
no.
And so we were always invited, so. it
Yeah,
was
and that
always
must have been under the other one, so.
Yeah, it was under
we as a
Donna Lynch.
liaison For how we handled that one is we like to make it special for a commission, for the Parks and Arts Commission to go. So you're not just helping
we'd have our
Parks and
own
Recreation. Yeah, you would have your own booth.
That's
So
not what I.
that's how we used to do it, and the commission would be able to say, hey, here's our art brochure. Hey, what do you think about the new dog park? Hey, what do you? Those are the things that we used to do with the Parks and Rec Commission, and that's the way we'll handle it the same way. We get offered certain dates when we request, hey, we need three table dates over at the thing. And they'll find us and tell us what dates, and then I will bring it back to this commission saying, which date do you want? Or nothing. So,
That's very cool.
No, because we would get emails saying, can you help on this date?
Yeah, we don't want you to help, we want you to be the focus. I mean, we don't want you just moving tables.
That was, so I misunderstood this, so now I
Does the same
understand.
apply to the family fun days and concerts? We can have a table at those events?
Family Fun Days, that's different, that's just the event, and that's a little bit.
That's
more
helping
than-
out at the
Yeah,
event.
that's
And
helping out at
concerts
the
as well,
event.
helping out at the event.
And at both of those though, you could request that, okay? So that's something that I'll put forward. If that's something that this commission wants to do, I can take that to our staff and say, hey, the Parks and Arts Commission wants to go to the Family Fun Days and table something. Now, it won't be just handing out brochures and promoting the commission. It's gonna be, I'm gonna have a commissioner badge, and this is the pumpkin you're gonna be decorating, or something like that, that will actually help
So
us.
we can
That's-
sponsor an activity.
Yes, that's something for those events, that's something that we wanna do. But once again, we will have a skirt or something, which I think we'd have to get a new one for a table skirt, saying the Parks and Arts Commission, yeah, rather than just Parks and Rec.
That's concert and family fun
Yeah,
days.
for those.
At Lava event, we can actually have a table and talk about the commission and do community outreach.
That's what I would suggest for that.
They're the ones that do the farm.
I know, I think you.
Oh, to this? Yeah, we should specifically say Lava, because it's not just a farmer's market, they have lots of events. Hell, sorry,
That's a great.
heck, yeah. Yeah, no, that would be an enhancement to this goal, and now that we know that we have agency, we're gonna be all over that.
And then the walking tour map, that's the same thing as the brochure, there's a map on the brochure. So that'll continue into 2025. The call for art, I don't know the list of installations this year, but I know there are a bunch, so, I can get you that list.
Can I ask a question to the arts, from Arts Commission? What is Art Without Walls, and what's the difference between Call for Art and Art Without Walls? What is?
Okay, so Art Without Walls is the sculptures that's out and about, it doesn't have any walls, it's out in the public. And the calls for art typically have been, you can chime in, but it's like what we did on the hallway.
Yes.
You ask people to submit art that we can post in the community center.
So Art Without Walls, that blank pad that's at Heritage Oaks, that would be an Art Without Walls call for art?
That's what we
Okay.
use like cafe for. And then this is like usually just within our community.
And we've used cafe for that too, if we go outside of the community.
Yeah.
Okay,
So they're
I just wanted to know definition, that's all.
They're all calls for art, it's just that there's Art Without Walls as a subcategory, that means public
Okay,
structure.
I got it. I just wasn't sure if that was a separate program.
Center,
Jamie and I were discussing that. I was like, is that a new program? I don't know about that.
It's legacy terminology, we didn't come up with it.
It
Okay.
came with us.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And so, and I think I can get you a list unless you already have a list of the installations this year. And then, placing art within a reasonable distance to the public, I think that was accomplished by Art Without Walls.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's ongoing.
right,
so how is that different from Art Without Walls?
I'm actually not sure why it's a separate thing.
If it isn't distinguished, let's get rid of it.
Okay,
Well, here is this how it's different maybe, is that you have call for public art, so that's one thing. But then the additional piece is, the goal is to make sure that it's in an area that the public can access easily.
Could we put it as a bullet point?
That's the same, I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Could it be a bullet point to the Art Without Walls?
always good, but you always want to put it somewhere where people can see it.
That's logical.
Okay, so in
Yeah.
2024, I'll mark it as done, accomplished, and I'll put it as a bullet point in 2025.
Okay.
Okay?
so next year when we do this, we won't have this distinguishing, we'll have two line
In
items.
the same box, yeah.
When I first saw art near me, I'll just tell you what I thought, it's like Art Without Walls, that's sculpture out in the park. And then when I saw art near me, I thought you were gonna go into the neighborhoods to do art, like in open corners or, you know,
Like painting mailboxes or something.
yeah, that's what I thought art near me meant, so I was totally wrong, sorry.
I'm gonna help cover it. And then, the website, that has been updated, and I think it's always its ongoing process.
Ongoing.
And just, we're trying to get our heads around the whole, wrap our heads around the whole website thing too. So, the city website may change in the next 12 months.
Yes.
Again.
So, yeah, and that's technology though. How many times does it have to be updated? Every couple of years? And website technology, yeah. So with that, we might see that, and we'll see how that format comes forward. Okay?
Then the next one is the current values of city-owned, sculptures. I actually have that. And that's gonna be a continuing process as well for the reasons that
Yeah.
Commissioner Couture said. So that's just an ongoing kind of thing. Explore restoration possibilities. That was the subject of 2 meetings ago. But that is, I don't know how you would like to characterize that, Director Hernandez. I think we voted on it and we said we were gonna restore those pieces.
Okay, so catalog all art in public spaces, can those 2 boxes right there, that and the one above it, could I possibly combine those into something of maintain a catalog of art, but that includes maintenance?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think it would be easier,
Yeah.
and that's part of, actually, it goes to the one at the bottom that you said you were working on, is the values. I think if we have that listing and maybe have some kind of schedule, you and I should probably meet on getting values on there, so we don't walk in here saying, oh, this art is worth 17,000 and it's 36,000 clean.
Yeah.
That's where we kind of paint it into a corner.
Okay.
So, we can do that. Let me combine those 2 though,
Okay, that's
if that's okay. And you'll see how it looks. We can change it if
Perfect,
we don't like it.
And then the community center art gallery, that's been something that's been great. We did the winter call for art, the fall call for art. I think Commissioner Couture, you just finished installing that.
Yeah, it looks great. It's right outside.
That's another accomplishment. Work with staff on, I guess,
Teresa helped me.
Commissioner Morris.
So with the council chamber entry steps, so what are we gonna state as our accomplishment there? that we, at this point, that we
Thank you. Accomplished it.
recommend what we, the
You've
motion,
accomplished what's written. I can tell you right now, if you read that, you've accomplished it.
scope the project and seek community input.
That's done.
How do we seek community input? Us here?
That's the standard we work
We
with.
need to distinguish that because, I guarantee you, citizens read this and they think community input, that means they're gonna get a postcard in the mail.
No, I
That's
don't
community
think so.
input. That's
But I do
community
think
input.
it is a, well, wording that needs to be different.
See community input at council, at
We're not
Park
seeking,
meeting.
we're making ourselves available for community input, but we're not seeking it. In no way are we going out asking them for their input
Well, you've
by these
accomplished
meetings.
this, if that's what
Well,
it is.
isn't it
that's good.
ongoing? 'Cause-
Receive community input.
Right, and receive would be better than receive, because we're not going,
It doesn't
But I would
imply
say-
proximity.
I don't even think we have to put that in there, because our meetings are open to the public, they can come if they want to, if they read the agenda, so we're not doing anything about actively getting community input.
But I like the word receive, because it demonstrates that we're open
Yes.
to it, and, it encourages the community to come here. If they choose not to, then that tells us something.
Can I just, sorry, and I don't mean to be rude, it's just, it's getting really late and I have a class tonight. Can we not focus on semantics because city council doesn't even dissect our plan. They don't even really look at.
It's too broad.
Yeah, I mean, I
Get it.
don't think we need to go in the weeds so much.
Okay, let's do that so we can get out of here.
Is that, does,
I
We're
agree.
gonna get another graph.
Yeah.
You're gonna get
on
another-
this, So we'll have plenty of time. So right now, we're just looking at done, not done. So compile the report with the observations. Well, actually, I skipped, work with staff on art-related events, which we've done, recreation, the movies, gather
We're
feedback on
gonna do
events.
those again.
Yeah, we're doing it again. Compile a report with observations that were done by commissioners at this process. IDEI principles, that's ongoing. Work with staff and partners to plan new cultural events, that's been happening. Be responsive, I think we're responsive. Work with staff, we work with staff. Oh, a scholarship program, we didn't do that.
Did not.
I don't
I didn't
think we
even know
can
we-
do that now
Yeah.
with, for the situation with the park and movements.
No, it's not a park and lieu, you can't use that.
Okay, so I think-
I don't know, is that something that the arts, fund that you've
No,
ever
we
done?
don't.
It came from Parks. It was
No,
a
we did not do that.
scholarship program to address,
Oh, yeah, it would have nothing to do. I would recommend that is not a function of this commission.
I agree.
Cause that's something that staff's working on from the general fund. And in fact, I'm working on it, right now.
why would you say that? I mean, I know a lot of other, when you go to those park conferences, they're always talking about grant and scholarship programs to the community.
That's a little bit different. That's actually, if the commission is seeking grants, that's different. But as far as giving out public funds, you have no control of giving out park and loop funds. You can't do that. And you would not have any control over general fund. You may have a recommendation, say, hey, we recommend that general funds be used for, childcare, in this amount. And that's fine. And you may see that come your way. But other than that, it's not the.
Yeah, we don't appropriate, but we have.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying. But if you wanna seek out grants for the city, that's different, but if you're talking about scholarships, it's a much,
Okay, so we're gonna take scholarships out.
I would recommend taking that out
Let's
for now.
take it out. Work with staff to recommend a sponsorship program, that's gonna be ongoing. Park improvement projects and public art purchases, that's
Did we
ongoing.
do that?
Did we do what? Park
The
purchases?
sponsorship program.
Work with staff to recommend a sponsorship program for.
Sponsorship events, no, we didn't.
Oh, so I guess we-
And you don't have sponsors for your program?
I'd have to look, I think there were small sponsorships, yeah, there were a few, right? You remember.
But staff did that,
We have
right?
banners.
Yeah, we tried it out, and that's something that I think but what we needed behind this for the commission is to help us disperse the information. Because we have the scholarship program or the sponsorship program, but as far as outreach to the community and to, bigger businesses and stuff, that's something that we can get help from this commission.
Okay, so,
If
yeah,
you have
so,
connections and business owners and stuff like that.
and then we'll have to decide if we want to make it a 25 goal.
Right.
Okay.
I'll leave it on that.
And then, the public process part, which is the park improvement projects and public art purchases. Public art purchases, we've done some of that, and I think, that's an ongoing, continuing, maybe that gets merged with the,
Maintenance.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
And then update the city's parks plan. I assume that's Parks and Rec.
I would recommend, no, that's this commission, but I would recommend that we take this off.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
don't think we're
because
doing that.
the direction that we were given, from council, is the general plan needs to get done first, and that's a
Right.
multi-year process that has just started.
Got it,
So I would recommend taking this off until the general plan is done.
got it.
And we'll work with those changes and bring back our first draft if it pleases the system.
Just briefly on the, call for art, how many do we do a year?
Just for the community center, we've been doing 2.
Is there a way to increase it? I would like to see it increase. I would too. Quarterly, or at least 3 times a year.
It's a lot of work for
Long
staff.
process.
See, the problem, and the problem is they have to put it on cafe and then they have to wait for the artists and
It is a long process.
Schedule the hanging, gets a lot.
Maybe we could do 3, or maybe there's a way we could do more.
We can talk about this in future, but here's something that my previous commission in another agency, Arts and Culture, did, is they actually took advantage of, sculptures or art being removed from the parks and have something that's a rotating thing. They're a call for art for here, and it's 6 months or a year or 2 years, whatever it is. So maybe there's something beyond just this art, gallery that you can do the same thing, a regular call for art in these parks, or maybe even rotating. I'm just saying suggestion rather than just focusing on getting more here. Maybe there's other places we could do art.
It'd be nice if we could identify this is goals discussion, if we could identify an exterior structure that would lend itself to rotating.
How about if we have that conversation when we have this revised?
That's all I'm saying, is just, in general, we can talk about that. That's what I would suggest, okay? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chair.
Now we're on to informational items. Summer concert series recap, staff.
Yeah, they went great.
They were great.
They were great. Thank you.
Call for art is up and running, right? Anything else to report on?
No, we'll be putting the wording up. We received them in the mail, so the wording of the Life in Los Altos, we just have to, 2 of us ordered the same thing, different styles. We'll decide which one to put up this week.
And sculpture maintenance, do we have that figured out yet?
Yes, the contract's already gone out. He should be working on them starting today, I think is what he told me.
Yay.
So there's a lot going on. Yeah, he's doing it. He's got his PO and he's doing the work. So they should be done. I thought he said it's a couple weeks for each of them.
Yeah.
2 weeks for each of them, I think, but it depends on when he started.
said a month for the whole thing.
For the whole thing,
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
I remember.
Okay, that's all for staff updates.
Awesome.
And any oral reports or comments from any requests for future agenda items from anybody?
No requests, but we have the Halloween movie, night coming up on the 19th. Starts when it's dark, but we'll be there early and we could still use a commissioner or 2 to come and help with it.
There's flyers on the desk. Yeah,
Oh, it's a Minions.
Minions,
It
right?
better be Minions, cause I just sent the artwork in and they
Minions, Rise the Group.
need to make
The
copies.
flyer's on the desk.
And we're doing the scavenger hunt
You know what it is?
and drone and coloring. Didn't we decide on the scavenger hunt and the coloring activity?
When you say we, you mean,
The last time the commission met,
why do I not remember this? Sorry, I'm sorry.
I went back and listened to the meeting. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but we voted on it last meeting. That's great. That's why I go back and listen to the
Oh, yeah. I would go back.
meeting. I could do both.
I think we're done. Yep. We adjourn? At 9:05.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.